On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will dive deep into Bad Batch S2E3, the solitary clone, by breaking down all of its important moments and lore additions. After they've handled the batch, they'll turn their breakdown lasers to the new Mando S3 trailer and the plot beats it hinted at in another scholarly teardown of new Star Wars content. Once they've wrongly predicted the events of Mando S3, they'll move into an intriguing new Ahsoka rumor about a Rebels character making their live-action debut. Of course, the show will end with the Question of the Week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars Fan Artist Features. Punch it, Chewie!
Hey now, everybody! Hey now! Man, my hat really makes me look like a slapdick today. Let me move that down. The old forehead, Nick, it just keeps growing in height. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about.
As you get older, your head just gets larger.
Well, I need a haircut because unlike you, I have not taken the full plunge into just buzzing my head, like shaving it. I do buzz it.
Oh wait, you like still go to a barber?
No, yeah,
I was gonna say.
His name's my wife. That's okay. My barber. I actually wanted to start training Charlie on it and see if she could take the clippers and at least not cut off ears and nick my head too much, but. Yeah, like when my hair gets a little, and it's funny to say long, especially if you're on the live stream because I have like such a high hairline. But when it gets long, I really look like a homeless person. Like I look like I should be locked up. It's not a good look because some patches have more length than other patches. It's not the full on like Bozo the Clown look that some bald men sport. But it doesn't look good. And I got to be on camera tomorrow for my students. So I got to somehow schedule in a buzz cut this evening.
Yeah, I definitely like shave my head probably once or twice a week.
Have you gotten one of those deals? Like, I don't know. I got targeted ad out the ass on Instagram last week. And I don't know why, because I haven't talked about, hey, I need a head shaver. But I've seen a lot of these deals. It's like a palm shaver you can use in the shower or whatever. And you just like, it looks like you can just be like, all over your head without worrying about cutting or anything. Do you use something like that?
Yeah, I have one of those. So like I have one of those and those are really good at like getting you down to the skin. I will say that like at least the one that I have doesn't work as well as it shows on like the commercials and the ads and stuff, but I don't have one of the ones from the ads.
Yeah.
But they work well. Like it probably takes 10-15 minutes to do your whole head.
Do you have to bick after that or that's good enough?
No, that's good enough for me. Yeah. I mean, and then if I gotta be a little bit quicker about it, then I just use like a regular like what I would use to like trim my beard, except I take the beard guard off and just go around my head. Yeah, I mean, as soon as I like,
it's a tough choice,
as soon as I started, I mean, you don't have hair. Like you mentally, you're hanging on to it because of like masculinity reasons. That's just like a brain.
It really fact. Trust me. It has nothing to do with masculinity or looks. It has everything to do with I don't want to buzz my head 2 times a week, straight up. Like I don't want to. It's hard to even get me to shave under my neck more than once a week. So that's really the biggest hang up and why I'm asking about these skull shavers. Because when it comes down to it, it's got to be something that is brain dead easy and that I should only need to do once a week. But I know once you start, you gotta keep doing it because you can't have fucking prickle dick head.
Well, it just depends on like where you're going to. Like if you're not like I shave, like if I know we're going out, I'll shave my head before we go out. Like I'll take a shower that morning and then shave and then stuff it's like just that. Too much work. Yeah, I mean, usually it's at least once a week that I like, shave my head. Probably like once during the week and then once over the weekend.
Well, I think I'm going to
but that's
maintain
just
laziness and just go with this guy should shave his head but doesn't look for the time being, because it really is just it's a procedural thing for me. While I do like to diet and I always think I'm fat, those are different brain damage issues than my hair. My hair, I understand. I've lost that battle, but I'm not that vain. As a short, fat person, you learn very early in life that being vain is useless, because you're so far down the totem pole of looks that it doesn't matter. I mean, I could have made myself ripped, chiseled, and had, Fabio hair, and I still would have been passed over because of my height. You women are evil to us short men out there. So, all right, look at everybody up in the live stream chat. Okay, every Tuesday, 2:30 p. East on YouTube at Star Wars Time Show. Let's do it. Holy hell, man. We got some Star Wars to talk today. We got Bad Batch S2E3, the solitary clone, to break down. We're not ready for it yet, but I'll tease it there. Probably one of the finest Bad Batch episodes to date. We got the NFL playoffs Mando trailer drops, so Nick and I are going to break that down because I did not break it down personally. So screw you, the 20 people that watch my content on YouTube. You're just going to have to wait for the show now. I was kind of proud of myself, Nick, that last night at 9:30, I didn't drag my ass down to the cave and start breaking down a Star Wars trailer, because I think I'm starting to learn no one fucking cares what I have to say. So what's the point? I'll save it for Tuesdays when the 20 people that do care what we have to say are tuned in. So here we go.
There you go.
You know what I mean? It's not worth it. I'm about ready to give up the Bad Batch breakdowns too, but that might take some legit psychotherapy to achieve. Go Cowboys! 1-6 is a Cowboys fan living up there in New York State. That's interesting.
I wonder if he had some time down in old Tejas before he moved up north, or if he's been up there his whole life.
He's just,
I mean, that is weird.
I'll never, as a Steelers fan from birth, I'll never concede that the Cowboys are America's team, but that's kind of their slogan. I'll never forget when I moved to Texas, I had a Steelers license plate wrapper on it. No shit, parked in traffic, some fucking Texan got out of his car, looked at my license plate, looked at me, and then spit down at my license plate. I was like, yay! The stars are like bright day and night, deep in the heart of Texas.
Yeah, that's definitely some like Houston, Dallas shit, because like as long as I've lived in Austin, and I mean,
you're the one hippie bastion of that state, really. I mean,
yeah, I was saying this is going to be 8 years in March that I've been here. Nobody gives a shit about what sports team you pull for. Yeah. Like the only thing in Austin that people like will care about is like UT, like UT football, stuff like that. But when it comes to professional games, because Austin does not have a professional team outside of their new soccer team, nobody really.
No, you're literally the Southern Columbus, but nicer because it's not Columbus and it's in the South. I mean, we have Ohio State here, so that's our big sports team, and that's the town is essentially Ohio State. Like you guys, your town is more or less going to be UT, and then all the techies down there.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I get it. I mean, we have a professional hockey team, the Blue Jackets. I think they've won one playoff series in 20 years. They're pretty sweet. Then we got the Crew. Actually, your professional team is our old soccer team, but our fans put up such a fight that we were able to keep the brand and made your owner start anew down there in Austin. Just in case there are any MLS historian fans listening today, there you go.
There you go.
All right. Well, hey, look at this. Props and 1-6 shooters saying they were up late night last night waiting for the SWTS Mando trailer breakdown to drop. So sorry, gentlemen.
And look at them. They're both here now, so they get to see it done live.
Even better. Perfect. You're going to get it live, and you'll get the added bonus of Nick's 2 cents instead of just me being the one to vomit up all my speculations that you need to take to the bank.
There you go. Also, it's a fucking minute-long trailer. Like,
yeah, it really was. I mean, I think it was 90 seconds, and I mean, you got some new voiceover, and most of the footage was fresh. But I've liked what they've done so far with the Mando promos, and you know they make you feel like they're giving you a lot of shit to look at, but they're really giving you nothing. I mean, if you're worth your salt in Star Wars speculating, it's been clear what this season's going to be about since the Book of Boba Fett. But we'll get in there. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, that's the tease. Stick around. We're here for you. SWTS, Star Wars. So, Nick, before we get into the Bad Batch breakdown, I can hear our little special guest is coming, so I don't want to get too deep into thought yet. It's that time of the show where
our cameo.
She's reporting in. I guess while I'm waiting on her, we did get through our Indiana Jones marathon this weekend.
Nice.
And she dug it. And surprisingly, you know how we were worried about melting faces in the Temple of Doom? Yeah. I think, dude, because these kids, like, they're so used to lifelike VFX that when they see the shit from the 80s where, you know, they were trying, but it's still, now it's like, oh my God.
It's clearly
what are they doing? Yeah. The heart rip didn't phase her at all. The monkey skulls is like, yeah, whatever. I watch worse stuff on YouTube Kids than this. So there she is. The little Indiana Jones, right? Do. Did you like Indiana Jones a little bit, right? Not too bad. They can't hear you. You got to say something. You're a little nervous today. All right. Well.
I didn't have the best day.
You didn't have a good day? I'm sorry.
Yeah, because our substitute teacher was pretty bad.
Yeah, subs. It's like a coin toss. They're either going to be great or they're going to be terrible, huh?
And also, she made us get hand sanitizer before lunch. Miss Waddle doesn't do that to us.
Well,
boy, just speak.
I'll tell you what. It sounds like you need to go start yourself a freedom convoy for her making you clean your hands so you didn't get any viruses. All right, buddy. Good to see you. Love you. May the force be with you.
Stripes just
and Indiana Jones too. All right. Sorry. If you're new here, that's part of the show. You know what I mean? We got to get a checkup from the youngest member of the SWTS crew, and that is young Charlie Haywood there. So, yeah, back to the Indiana Jones. I mean, she dug them. We were both kind of doing our own thing. I was editing photos because, believe it or not, I actually did 2 photo shoots last week. If you're privy to our Discord, I was in there talking to Tones and some of the other guys. Nick, I like had to have them talk me off a ledge already. Like I just got back to toy photography, was trying to clear my table full of 1/6 scale hot toys, and I get to the Boba Fett repaint with Throne, like a great figure. It comes with a great Tamara head and everything. But these dumb cocksuckers at Hot Toys, for some reason, decided, okay, to put his actual flesh and blood head in, you are going to need hair dryers, pliers, patience, the rosary, you name it, because it's not just a simple, hey, pop the helmet off and then put the guy's head on the ball joint, as most Hot Toys are. No, you literally have to take the entire black neck piece out for the helmet attachment, which, as I said, on my figure is impossible. So you know me. If I'm in there trying to change accessories and it's not going as quick as my brain thinks it should, stuff starts to get a little squirrely. So
things start to break.
Yeah. I think in the Discord, I'm like, can someone please offer up some assistance on this little cunt? Because if I don't get help soon, this thing is going the way of The Last Jedi Luke from many years ago. If you remember that story, I was outside doing a shoot. His one fucking hand would not go on right. So I took a $90 figure and smashed him against the wall with a 90-mile-per-hour fast figure ball. So we were getting to that point with this Hot Toy. Now, mind you, this thing's damn near $400, so I didn't want to start throwing it or twisting it around like a voodoo doll or ripping other fucking parts out. And so after scratching up the neck with pliers and having no luck with a dryer, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It ain't worth it. He's going to sit on his throne with his helmet. I don't care. But I hate you! Repaint Boba Fett, and I hate you, Hot Toys, for that system. It's so stupid! Just make it like Bo-Katan or Din Djarin. You fucking take the helmet off, then you pop in the skin face. Why? Why black neck pieces and faux helmet heads? So, yeah, it was fun for a little bit until I ran into that. And now I was reminded of why I hate this shit. I hate them. Well, hey, appreciate those that do watch my breakdowns. We'll get there. Dan the Man, welcome. Dr. Mad Studio, welcome. All right, I like it. We got some new names in here. That means our disciples, or what do we call them? The apostles have been out there preaching the good word of the SWTS. Hey, did you watch Last of Us? Because I sure shit didn't.
Nope,
okay.
I did not. I mean, I'm going to at some point, but I have not watched it.
Yeah, it's not like I'm boycotting it or anything. I know it was the hot shit or the hot pop culture over the weekend, but I was in like NFL playoff and Indiana Jones land. I'm also working through the DeLorean Lego, which is a fine little build. So I skipped that too, but yeah, I want to check that out. Maybe next week we'll talk about it. But I've been hearing some good things. You know, some people are like, bleh! Other people are like, oh, it's the best video game adaptation of all time, blah, 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 blah. So I'm sure.
I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about it. I've only heard good things. But then again, like, I don't really like go seeking it out. But yeah, I mean, like, all the stuff that I've seen is like, it's amazing. It's as like close to the series as you can get, but also is like additive to what the game was. I mean, my issue is that like, I know what this first episode is going to open with, and it's going to crush me emotionally. So I'm like, I have to be in a headspace where I'm ready to experience that. Because if you've played the first Last of Us game, like, it is like you get that whole opening sequence with Joel and his daughter.
Oh, cool.
Like, played out.
That's that's an uplifting moment in the franchise for sure. Yeah, dude. It really is. It's one of the greatest video games ever, really, at least narratively, and really the gameplay matched the narrative. And
it's top 5 in terms of my all-time games, and I still need to finish Last of Us 2 because I know it's going to be equally as good.
That one's a banger. I found the Deuce to be even better than the first one, to be honest with you.
It's just like, I got to that part where I mean, spoiler alerts. I mean, I know this game came out, 3 years ago? Spoiler alerts for those of you out there, but like, I got to the part where Joel gets clubbed in the head with the golf club, and I'm like, I have to stop playing this
it's
game.
Fucking it. You know, when The Walking Dead was at its peak, and you had the survivors button up with Rick's group, and the cliffhanger with the bat and all that. Yeah, that the Joel scene kind of rivaled that tension and sick to your stomach feeling that The Walking Dead was able to elicit back in the day. Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, it really is one of the greatest franchises ever to me. But because of the content and what it deals with, I don't think I'm ever going to replay the games, even though they're that fucking good. Like, Last of Us 1 has been remade 4,000 times. I think it just got its 4,000th and first remake on the PS5.
I mean, it's just, I'm not like Skyrim at this point.
Yeah, I don't want to touch it, though, because like you're saying, it's just like, I don't want to. As great as it is, it'd be like touching hot stoves over and over again. It's like, all right, I know it's a video game. I know it's not real. But these days, I tend to kind of parallel what's going on in pop culture to what's going on in my life and how I would feel if I was presented with these situations. So, yeah, nothing I want to deal with.
So we'll see. I will probably watch it this week just because the buzz has been so good. And it is a show that I really want to watch. But I'm like I could see I've seen screenshots of it, and I see Pedro Pascal holding his daughter as he walks up to, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't. Oh man. Yeah.
I mean,
like,
the military waster, right?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, like, he's sitting there, and he, like, all of this chaos and destruction is happening, and he's just trying to get his family out. And like, that scene goes down, and I'm like, that's the fastest I've ever cried in a video game ever. Like, within the first 20 minutes of it starting, I was like,
a doozy, man.
I rarely cry at media at all. Like, especially a video. Like, I don't know the last time that I've cried at a video game other than the opening of The Last of Us. But I was like, as soon as that happened, I was like, holy shit, game is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, no, it's a banger. Do you remember the first time a game moved you? Because I'll never forget it for me. It was 97, Final Fantasy VII, Aerith's death. I mean, you gotta remember back then that shit didn't exist. You didn't really have cutscenes. You didn't have 3D anything. So like getting hit with that stuff with high schooler emotions. I mean, come on. Aerith was like one of my girlfriends, for Christ's sake. So I mean that fucked me up, and that's why still. I mean, Final Fantasy VII is easily in my top 3 because of its impact on gaming, but me as a gamer, and a gamer that started really at the genesis of home gaming. It was just such a crazy experience. Yeah,
I mean, I don't remember ever getting like super emotional at anything until The Last of Us. I mean, I played a ton of games, played basically all generations of consoles from NES forward. But I think there may have been some like other ones that are kind of mixed in there, but I think it was probably either Final Fantasy X or it was The Last of Us. The Last of Us is the only one that really stands out to me in terms of like a more prominent like emotional reaction to like what was happening in the game.
10's one I still have never fully finished. Like I always get very close, and you know, I love 10 too, but it almost got too expansive, and you go here, you go there, you do this, or you know, some of the levels got a little wonky if you didn't have a guide, if you know what I mean. And that's how games used to be. You remember playing games with no internet? I mean, fuck. How did video games even make it this far? Because you would think most of us would have quit. These days, you've got everyone, their mom has how-to guides out the day a game is released. But you know, back in the dark ages and no internet, nothing.
That was when you would have to buy those like the books. Like you would have to buy like or
call the Nintendo hotline. I don't even know if you remember that. I mean, Nintendo
shit like that.
Because I remember getting a Nintendo. It's like, I finally got one. You'd start playing games. You could only play a game for like 10 minutes, and then it would kick your ass. And you're going, is this fun? Like, is playing Contra without the code fun? Really? Because we die by the fucking second level every time. And then, you know, one of the older neighborhood boys gave us the code, and that changed our lives forever. I mean, once you learn the Konami code, you're like, all right, cool. We can actually beat these games that we wanted so bad and are playing. All right. We're way off the rails. Let's get things back to Star Wars, because we actually have some real shit to talk about today. So I don't want it to turn into a 5-hour long show here. But there you go, pop culture talk. You always get a little bit of that to start SWTS. So let's go ahead, dude. Let's move right into Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 3, The Solitary Clone. It gave us exactly what both of us wanted after watching the 2-episode premiere, when we were both going, hey, where's the Empire stuff? Well, they're like, hey, Matt and Nick, calm down. Hold my beer, wait for episode 3. So, Nick, go ahead. The way we usually do this, we each give our individual quick review. We go through some of the top moments, and then we'll analyze, you know, any new lore, any references that may have popped up. So, what say you about the Solitary Clone?
I mean, I kind of agree with you that it is probably one of the strongest Bad Batch episodes yet, and it also, I think that one thing that became stark in terms of the contrast between this series and the Clone Wars happened in this episode, and it is that like this one is definitely going to be a little bit more dark than Clone Wars. You know, Clone Wars was like a very fun romp that was definitely more kid-centric. And even to a degree, like Rebels was kind of the same. I mean, I'm only mentioning these 3 series because these 3 series all have the same animation style. I know that there are other Star Wars animation series out there, but like these are the big 3, really. And with this episode, you really set the tone for the Bad Batch potentially moving forward, being a little bit more gritty, even though it is an animated cartoon series, and a little bit more dark considering the time period that you're working in. Like, directly after Order 66, directly after the fall of the Republic and the formation of the Empire. And like, I think that's something that we definitely needed in the Star Wars cartoon series, was a little bit like not leaning so heavily on like the campiness and like the fun aspect, and that's kind of what episode 1 was, because like now we know, like, you know, that there's some really kind of dark stuff happening. There's a lot of like seedy underbelly of the Empire that's starting to be shown, especially through Admiral Rampart. I mean, we saw him essentially ice that clone at the end of episode 2 last week, and then now episode 3 just being about as callous as possible when it comes to handling of the clone units, especially the CT and CC units. Like it's almost like he's like, if it was up to him, he would just shoot them all himself, and then move past them.
Did you feel he was purposely fucking with Crosshair at lunchtime by calling him up every time he would just sit down to eat, or was that just coincidence?
Sit down to eat, yeah.
Do you think?
No, yeah.
I think he was doing that on purpose?
I mean, like, one, he definitely knows that Crosshair was a part of Clone Force 99, and because of that, he is kind of an addled clone, you know, like he is a very different clone in terms of how his chip works and everything else. So he's definitely trying to like mentally break this guy. Basically what I'm reading it as is he's like, I'm going to get you to fuck up so I can kill you, and then just we can be done with you.
All right.
And like we can move more towards the TKs and away from the CCs and the CTs. But yeah, I thought that this was an excellent episode. I mean, I know that none of the Bad Batch was in it aside from Crosshair, but I think that's what made it super interesting, is that you did get to spend an entire episode inside of the Imperial ranks, and just to see how things were functioning post Order 66 and now with the expansion of the Empire. So yeah, it was up there in terms of my favorites.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I pretty much have the same things to say. I mean, I titled my review Imperial Clone Wars because while it did feel like an episode of the Clone Wars, it kind of had the same beats, clones fighting battle droids, but it had that dark specter hanging over it of it being the Imperial clones doing the bidding of really shitty Imperial officers. So I loved how it called back to the formula that made the Clone Wars so successful, albeit with that Bad Batch kind of dark and gloomy flair that Nick was talking about. So the Empire focus was exactly what I wanted. I mean, it's dead on to what I was hoping for based on the 2-episode premiere that zeroed in just on Clone Force 99, at least the good guys. And like I said, we've been seeing this throughout the Bad Batch. We saw it advanced in its advanced state in Andor. But this episode in particular, Nick, I really thought was a perfect, like picture perfect example of how fucked up the Empire is with what they did on Desix. I mean, they essentially came to an independent system and said, no, you have to take our control. We don't give a shit about your independence. We don't give a shit about your own governor. We're the Empire. We bring peace and order. You are going to do what we tell you to do, or you are going to die. And that's exactly what happened. She tried to put up a fight and tried to be like, no, listen, like if you're all about peace and order, then let's hash this out, because we are a free system. We were never in the Republic. We don't fall under your fucking blanket. But the Empire is imposing its will across the galaxy on these separatist worlds, or worlds that weren't even on either side, in the way they do it, in the way the officers think, and how entitled they are. I mean, that scene with Cody, and we'll go into it more, but you could see Cody's light was starting to switch on, really from the moment he talked to Crosshairs, but throughout this mission, as he saw the people on Desix. I like that they put the focus on that mother and daughter when Cody opened their door and they're all freaked out, and Cody's like, hey, we're the good guys. Like, Cody's still thinking that. And then they get up and they do have the negotiation with Tawny Ames, and he does. He kind of channels his former master, and he even gets Crosshair to put his gun down. Like, Cody was making some inroads here. But then once the guy gets free, he's like, hey, fuck her. You made the deal, not me. Execute. And of course, good soldiers follow orders. He can't help himself. And he ices her. So I think the way they used Cody was perfect. I think it showed to us, and it answered, I think, some of the questions you and I were asking last week. Like, it seems like the commanders are coming around to this shit and really starting to feel uneasy about it. We heard Rampart in discussions like, oh yeah, there's been a lot of AWOLs left and right. We can't really trust your clone loyalty anymore. So it's a thing, but I think Cody really, his little speech at the end, I think embodied why the clones were so great and why it's going to be so tragic to see their ultimate extinction. When he says, like, listen, man, you know what's different between us and the droids? We make our own choices, but then we have to live with them. And you could tell that mission, that was it for Cody. But Cody's words to Crosshair, Nick, I do think, while he's still Mr. I'm the Empire guy, I think they carried more weight than maybe even hearing his brothers at the end of season 1.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. I mean, while he may not have worked directly with Cody in the past,
he
like
clearly
Crosshair
respects him big time.
Yeah, exactly. He has great respect for him, was excited to work with him, so much so that, like, at the end when he gets a reassignment order to not work under Cody, and he's like, well, why am I not working under Cody anymore? Like, literally says Cody and then has to tell Rampart, like, oh,
yeah, CC blah blah blah, right?
4. Yeah, like, it like, then I think at that moment was the realization, like, Cody's gone AWOL. He just gave me the speech right, like, the day before. Like, maybe there is something here that I really need to be reconsidering, because I think that even like you said, even at the end of season 1, like, he kind of got like a little sting from, like, Clone Force 99 kind of doing their own thing and separating themselves from the Empire. But now it's definitely more real. Like, this was Cody wasn't like Clone Force 99.
Right.
Cody wasn't like a fucked up clone.
He followed Order
Cody
66. He was in the Empire.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing it.
Exactly. And to see him, 1, to see what went down on Desix, and then 2, to see Cody immediately after that go AWOL, I think that now things are starting to ring in Crosshair's head.
I like the way they presented Crosshair in episode 2. Everything was alone. I mean, his bedroom looks like a fucking prison cell. None of the regs want to be around him. They don't want to eat with him. Rampart calls him every time he's getting ready to eat. Like, he seems to be in perpetual misery because of his self-induced solitary confinement, essentially. One other thing before we get in the top moments, there was some buzz on the internet. Was Rampart lying to Crosshair about Cody? I absolutely think not. Cody is not a character that they would kill off screen and have Rampart lie about. Cody is going to have some form of resolution. He's one of the more iconic clones. He's up there with the Rexes of the world, right there with Rex. Really, if you think about it, Rex was Anakin's, Cody was Obi-Wan's. So I mean, they go hand in hand. So his fate, his ultimate fate, is going to have to be addressed on screen. You're not going to have a Cody. Cody was killed, but Rampart's AWOL, and they're just going to tell us that. There's no way. Cody is totally okay. I think he really did go AWOL, and his fate will be resolved on screen. Just trust me on that. They're not going to let that character go and the juice behind that character and just write him off. Oh yeah, he's AWOL, but we just iced him.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. If they killed Cody off screen, there's no there is no
the trolls
way.
And normal fans would riot. Like, you can't. Now that you have the opportunity, because I think fans moved on from the clones. Like, all right, whatever, the clones, they had their time. But now that we have this revitalization of prequel era content and a bit beyond, you couldn't do it. I mean, Cody is going to have to, his end, his fate is going to have to be on screen. It just, people would go nuts. I saw a lot of people now kind of hearkening back to the
the Obi-Wan series, and they were saying like, oh man, like now with this revelation of what has happened with Cody, and knowing that there was potentially in the Obi-Wan series, like having like there was the potential to have Cody in there and working with Obi-Wan. They were like, man, that would have worked so well now that we know he's gone AWOL. And then if you would have had the Obi-Wan series have him in it, I will say that it would have been a bit of a spoiler in terms of like, you know, like if he's working with Cody and Obi-Wan, then you come to Bad Batch and you have this episode, you already know as soon as you see Cody that like, oh, well, of course he goes AWOL. Now it, you know, gives it a little bit more, like there's a little bit more pop to that in the Bad Batch that like, oh shit, like he actually did go AWOL.
Yeah, it's like,
and
what's he
now
doing?
Maybe in season 2.
Right.
Yeah, like maybe in season 2 of Kenobi, if there is a season 2 of Kenobi, clears it up a little bit more and we can say like, okay, like now that we've seen him go AWOL officially,
I mean that what Nick's talking about, because I'm sure not all of you are dorks like us and remember things that never happened, but the original version of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series had Cody in it as his more or less secret protector. There was going to be an opening scene where we as the audience are made to think that Cody is bad and stalking Obi-Wan on Tatooine, and he actually like pulls a knife to his throat. But the surprise is going to be like, damn it, General, you can't be walking around here like this. Look how easy it was for me to get you and almost kill you. So it was almost going to be like a buddy show where they were both going to be miserable because they're living in a cave on Tatooine, but they had each other and their shared past experiences to kind of get them through. Yeah. So what Nick is saying is, if they do pursue a thread like that in a supposed second season of Kenobi, which isn't official, it's just fan speculating at this point, Cody is more than able to do that, even with what is going on in Bad Batch right now. So they did at least leave that door open if they pursue it. I don't think. I don't know. I don't think Kenobi's going to get another season. I don't know. But you never know. It got a lot of hype going. I don't know.
I mean,
if it generated money, like, who the fuck knows? So
at the time, that was the most viewed Star Wars series like opener ever.
Yep.
Like I think that had beat Mandalorian season 1 and 2. And in terms of just like overall viewership, pretty sure that Kenobi still outperformed Andor. I know that, like, you know, if you're looking at like reviews, critical reviews and fan reviews and stuff like that, that Andor is higher, but technically Kenobi beat it in terms of viewership. So, and
that makes sense. I can see Andor having better critical scores than Kenobi, but Kenobi having the more eyes and hours logged.
Yeah. So, and I mean, when it comes down to it, like, yeah, you love to have critical success and highly critically rated things, but you know, having a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes does not bring in the dollar bills, y'all.
No, that's what I mean. It's like,
it's all about the
and you read anything about Disney brass these days. I mean, they're firing executives left and right, and they think it's all around Disney Plus. Is Disney Plus even going to exist? I don't know how they kill that platform, but their financials are pretty jacked.
There's no way they're going to kill Disney Plus. What they have to find out is profitability margins. Like what do we have to make per user, or like how long do we have to keep one user subscribed for X amount of months for it to be in the profitable range, instead of it being like, okay, well, like some Star Wars fans do. Like, you know, I remember when Disney Plus first came out, Greg, one of our longtime listeners and friends, was like, okay, well, now that Mandalorian season 1 is finished, I am unsubscribing and I'll resubscribe when the next Star Wars show comes out. What they need to figure out is how do you get people to stay subscribed and not drop your sub?
Dickheads like me, like that's what they want. They want rubes like me.
Actually, you are the problem, because you bought that huge ass bundle.
Well, it's already out. It's already gone.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 years have already passed, my friend. So I'm like the rest of you. I'm paying, but I did lock in at the old price last year. We actually did this on the show, saying essentially, hey, you go in and re-up, even if you've just re-up, because you can lock in at the $79.99 versus the new $110 or whatever it is. But yeah, I am. I'm the reason why Disney Plus blows and its content is middling, because I just keep paying. Don't matter.
they made a grievous error, and I know why they did it, because they're like, we have to get as many people on here as possible. But
they
like,
were
they
scared
made
of
a grievous
Netflix,
error.
man. Netflix was a beast, and I think, yeah, you're right. I mean, Disney essentially sold themselves out for no reason. And that's how dumb they are. They had fucking Star Wars and Marvel. They took Netflix's heart out with the Marvel content, and they still didn't believe in their brands enough to just be like, no, pay us a normal fucking fee for streaming. You're exactly right. So, they fucking mortgaged the farm to launch this thing when they were launching with a goddamn Star Wars show. Like, why do you need to give shit away when you're launching with some of the biggest pop culture shit out there? It's crazy. Fire them all!
I mean, we'll see. I mean, Bob Iger's back in, and he's figuring out how to get things profitable again. I mean, that's the biggest concern for Star Wars right now is like, not even just for Star Wars, but for Marvel too, is like, let's get Disney back to profitability, and then once that is happening, then things will start to, move forward in a positive direction, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm with Toy Visuals here. I would take another season of Kenobi, but I want them to up the production value.
I mean, I'm happy to take another season of Kenobi as well. I mean, we'll see what happens with the volume, because obviously, I think the volume was the immediate response to COVID. They're like, okay, so how do we make these, usually productions are huge. They involve hundreds, if not, multi-hundreds of people, not quite thousands. But like, you could have, 100 people on a set at one time. When you have COVID going on, obviously there were a lot of restrictions.
Kenobi for sure. Because if you look, I mean, I'm eventually going to go and rewatch to prepare for March 1st. But if you go back and watch Mando S1 and 2, used a lot of volume, but it wasn't as glaringly noticeable as the Kenobi production for whatever reason. But I do think you're on to something, because Kenobi would have shot peak COVID, where Mando S1, no COVID, Mando S2, like very, very, very tail end, right before, the world ended type of shit. So I do think you have a valid theory on Kenobi's less than ideal use of the volume.
Yeah, and I think that, like, and this is just my thoughts, like, one of the reasons why Kenobi looked worse in the volume than Mando did is because when you're in the volume with Mando, like, what scenes were you showing? Like, think specifically like Mando season 1. Like, you're showing like a shitload of sand and sky
and snow, because the opening shot, like, that was all volume.
Yeah, but then like when you get into Kenobi, you have cityscapes, you have multi-layered sets that you're building in the volume, like with volume technology. Like, that's gonna show a little bit harder, or a little bit less clear than like, here's a wide open sky that's just blue, and here's some fucking sand that, or here's a shitload of snow. Like environmental differences in terms of how, like, where a lot of the show was shot, especially once Kenobi got onto like that city planet and stuff, that's going to show a lot worse. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens with Kenobi. I hope there's a season 2, because I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed seeing those characters again.
Connor Tierney in the chat's telling me my theory on Mando is stupid. He has already tested it out, and it's wrong. Apparently, if you go back and rewatch Mando now, the volume use is even more glaring than Kenobi. So, like I said, I'm planning a rewatch, because I'm one of these people. I want to watch seasons 1 and 2, leading right into season 3 debuting on March 1st. So I'll let you know. I will let you know. Hey, yeah, I do want to, like, not that this is anything special in real life, but we do have over 20 concurrent viewers right now and almost 100 views already, which never happens. So, like, what did I do wrong today to bring people in? You know what I mean? Like, it just that's what you got to figure out, because it's usually not what we did right; it's what we did wrong. Did we say something?
People are.
I mean,
maybe people are super interested in this most recent Bad Batch episode. Who knows?
I know. Well, I guess we need to get back to it, as we were on a little tangent. So, clearly both of us young dudes, big fans of the Solitary Clone. I really do think it was one of the best, and I don't know what that says about me and the fact that I love everything dark and Imperial versus light and good guys. That's really how it's always been with me in Star Wars. I always wanted the good guys to win, but I always liked the bad guys better, if that makes any sense. It's the shirt, Matt. That's right. I got the old classic Star Wars Celebration 2017 Orlando shirt on. See it, everybody? The TLJ celebration, everyone's favorite, until they watched TLJ and then they thought Star Wars was over. Hey, man, Rian Johnson's a fucking pimp. I don't care what anyone says. Glass Onion was fantastic. Absolutely.
Still have to watch that.
Fantastic.
Well.
It's just good shit. And it's like the guy makes it all up. That's the best part. Like the guy does have some talent. You all keep your TLJ opinions to yourself. We don't give a shit. All right. Is this not the Hot Toys Anonymous meeting? It's turning into that. We've convinced a few of you. I mean, really, the Godfather is Trevor. His fucking handle's 1-6 shooter. So he started all this. It's like a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme of, hey, look how cool these things are. You should get them. And then it turns into a nightmare. I did pre-order my Kenobi. Passed on the battle droid, though. All right. Let's get down to the top moments from Solitary Clone. There was, I think, 4 or 5 of them. Yeah, 5 it looks like. And really, Nick, the first one I had here, and maybe we can spin our speculation wheels on it a little bit, but I really like this the opening with Crosshair shown as solitude or solitary confinement, more or less, but more importantly, learning that the Empire left him stranded on that platform on Kamino for 32 days.
Yeah, I mean, that is, they were just like, just please die. Like, just please don't survive.
That is crazy.
That's brutal.
I guess the question I want to ask you, because I brought it up last week, is like, you know, it's odd that Rampart thought Clone Force 99 was dead, considering they picked up Crosshair and he probably let them know that they were gone, or we thought maybe Crosshair lied. But with this information in tow, 32 days stranded with nothing. When they picked him up, he was probably fucking delirious and like in like the Twilight Zone. I mean, Rampart even said it's been months since he was even cleared for active duty. So
yeah, for active
Crosshair for this was probably pretty fucked up physically and mentally when the Empire finally circled back and picked his dead ass up. So there may never have even been a conversation or the Empire, whoever debriefed Crosshair, is like, whatever this guy's saying, we can't really take it for verbatim because he's delirious right now.
Yeah, his head is jacked. So yeah, I mean, I would have loved to see some sort of like time lapse or something like that of Crosshair just like surviving on that platform for that long.
That's hardcore. 'Cause, I mean, if you remember, it was literally a landing platform in the middle of the ocean. That's it. There was like nothing. Yeah. Like, would he eat? Would he drink? I mean, come on.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's pretty insane that they screwed him over that hard. Like, they were like,
but look,
they essentially
he still comes back, right, Nick? And he eats it all. I mean, they don't let him eat, but he eats all their shit, especially Rampart's. I mean, as you said, Rampart seems to be enjoying toying with Crosshair at this point. It's like Rampart has a hard-on for clones in general. Like, he just fucking hates them and wants anything more than to catch them doing bad shit so he can have an excuse to essentially murder a free military force. And, you know, let's be real. I think that's the only reason they're still around. They're already paid for, and they're essentially Mandalorian caliber warriors. So let's use them for as long as we can before we can't.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I think that was one thing where I was like, it was always weird to me where people were like, well, why don't they just like mass kill all of these clones? Like, to me, it was like, why would you not just use them until they're all dead? Like, you're not going to just kill all of them. Like, you're not just going to like put them all in like a room and then, you know, crush them or something like that. These are like resources that you could use until you just can't use them anymore.
That's
so
the
I
key
don't,
word.
yeah.
To the Empire, dude, they're resources, they're assets. They're not living things. Even less than they were under the Republic. I mean, under the Republic, they almost felt human. They're allowed to have names and colors and armor trinkets and designs on their faces and hair. Now they really are. I mean, they are lower than low. They're essentially droids that are organic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole clone thing is very interesting because you are right. I mean, the Empire is going to just ground them into the dirt. But with what we're seeing with the CC ranks, the commanders, they're getting wise to what's going on, and really their training and their experiences are why they aren't cool with this. It has nothing to do with chips. They're like, this is fucked up. Like, this is just wrong. This is not right. Yeah. So
I mean, they were trained to basically say like, hey, this is like, we are given the opportunity to negotiate. Like, if somebody surrenders, then we accept their surrender. And now, like, it's literally just like everything that you were taught to do prior.
Yeah, they're occupying worlds. Like, they're becoming occupational forces instead of actual combat forces. And I don't know. I still think that the Empire is going to have to do something at scale with the clones, mostly because of the way they're starting to, as Rampart says, their loyalty isn't as advertised. And I think we talked about this last week, but the Empire is not going to want, who knows how many are left? Probably at least a couple 100,000. A couple 100,000 Mandalorian clones out there running free. Like, it's just, so I do think, Nick, they may, wherever that, I know that their facility's right there on Coruscant, but maybe they just fucking gas them all out at one point in time. I really do think the Empire is going to do something drastic with the clones at large, because we don't see them after a certain period of time, and for what all we know, it's only Rex, Wolf, and Gregor that make it into the Skywalker saga, Rebels. The original timeline. So I don't know. We'll see. But like I said, the Empire, they don't fuck around, and if you've got a more or less an army of Mandalorians in white armor, you're not gonna, and they're not working for you anymore. You're probably not gonna want them in your backyard. So,
yeah. I mean, if things really start to, if like en masse, like these desertions continue, or if like there continue to be, especially commanders that are like disobeying orders, then it's almost
Well, yeah, like what Kingdom's saying here, it might not be like full on Nazi stuff, but what if they just use their chips as a failsafe? Like beep, all right, beep, kill signal, and literally it's a kill signal. Like the chip just short circuits in their head, and they're all toast. Although I still think Crosshair's chip is gone because of his injury from season 1. Like that, I don't know if they ever officially confirmed that, but you would think catching a blowtorch to the head might have impacted some of the circuits.
Yeah, it might have fried that thing out.
Lots of people in the chat digging it. Keep it going. Yeah, like our warriors are saying, hit the like, leave a comment, do what you got to do. We appreciate you. All right, so second top moment here from the Solitary Clone. A great moment here. And Nick, what's the... Did you consider this wall of names? Is that more or less like the clone version of the Vietnam Vet Memorial?
Yeah, that's what I took it as well. Is like, this is the clone version of that memorial that we have here in the States.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, I liked the scene because it was the reintroduction of Cody, but I liked how they were talking to each other, almost like feeling each other out in the new Empire. Cody like, hey man, what are you thinking of this Empire? And he's like, hey, yeah, and Cody's like, yeah, I've heard, some clones making their own choices and blah, blah, blah. And yeah. You could almost get the sense that Cody was uneasy even before the mission about the Empire, right?
Yeah. Like already, like the seeds had been planted of him starting to distance himself from this.
Yeah.
And then once everything went down, he was like, yeah, I'm out. Like, I don't know if he would have left if everything would have gone the way that he was trying to make it go, with like,
Yeah, he
Tommy
stays.
Ames
He stays.
surrenders.
Yeah, if they keep her surrendered and the governor doesn't order her execution, Cody remains. I think so.
Yeah.
Although, again, you don't know now because of how it played out. But if you look at Cody after the execution, the dude is downtrodden. Like you could almost see through Cody that he's realizing that his clones and him are being replaced by the TKs because they come in mass. They're coming in and the clones are leaving. And you can just see Cody kind of taking all this in and seeing the occupational forces coming in on Desix and everything is coming to a head. And he's like, the writing's on the wall. Us clones, we're dog shit to the Empire. Like, they just send us in to do the missions you're probably going to die in. Then they bring in these TK jokers. That fucking shit that went down up there with the governor, that didn't sit well with me. So, yeah, but this was just the first time they connected. I liked, kind of checking back in at that cloned facility there. But it was cool seeing this wall and that they at least recognize their fallen brothers, which, I'm sure the Empire isn't a huge fan of. Next top moment. He, his thinking is off. There's no doubt about that. But Crosshair has to be the most skilled clone out there, and that was on display with his tank kill, where he literally lobs a shot right down the tank's barrel and blows it up. But then, in kind of a callback to the first time we saw Crosshair and Clone Force 99, the Clone Wars final season, he brought out his reflecting pucks again, and you got a pretty snazzy kill with Cody's help on the tactical droid. So, like I said, he might be a little creepy. He doesn't get to eat a lot, so he's always angry. But Crosshair, his skill set is unparalleled in the clone ranks. I know you Republic Commando, stands out there, but they're better. Scorch is better, but fuck, man, Crosshair, he's a talented lad.
Pretty good. So, Crosshair just has such a special skill set. The one thing that I did think was funny is that, like, like with the tank kill, like, I know that we've seen stuff like that in, like, war movies, but, like, would that really work considering that tank just fires a big ass laser? Like, it's not like you're shooting in the barrel and then hitting a loaded piece of ammunition. Like, those tanks just fire lasers.
I mean, that's...
So I don't know what would explode.
Right. That is a good topic for things that aren't real, but let's make them real. So, I mean, I guess, Nick, the counter to that would be, since there isn't a physical projectile in the barrel, that's what allowed his laser to go all the way through into the cockpit, and then it exploded the tank after it hit some circuits in the cockpit. There you go. How's that?
Maybe so. Yeah, maybe that works.
All right. The next moment, and we talked about a little bit, but first and foremost, I do think General Kenobi would have been very proud of Cody the Negotiator here, right? We all know that Kenobi was known as the Negotiator. His starship was called the Negotiator during the Clone Wars. So I don't think this was on accident that we had an extended negotiation scene between Cody and Tawny Ames. And really the best part about this scene is kind of Tawny, in a roundabout way, getting Cody to realize that, the Empire's fucked up, dude. You're on the wrong side. And, I think Cody does realize that ultimately, especially after they execute her, like, I'm on the bad team now. But the whole negotiation and really when Tawny's like, listen, we tried for peace. That's bullshit. With Mina Bonteri, we sued for peace, but Dooku and Palpatine blew it up. And she's like, that's when I knew there was no peace. And you could see that's when Cody's like, fuck, she's right. We're a bunch of jerk-offs. So he's like, I'm getting conned by these assholes. The Empire, they are the bad guys. But as a fan, I like watching characters learn lessons, and that's really what this scene did for me. It really brought the gravity of the Empire's atrocities down on Cody hard. At least that's how I kind of processed the whole ordeal.
Yeah, no, I mean, there was that was like the turning point in terms of, I mean, I think for Crosshair as well, like this is going to be the start of a turning point for him, that conversation with Ames, because I mean, it's a separatist world. It's out, like she said, like we're outside, like this isn't a republic world that now should fall under the Empire's jurisdiction. Like we were outside of the republic, we're outside of the Empire, we're a separatist world. We have, you know, we should have our independence. And like, I think that even for Crosshair, that's kind of like, well, this makes sense when it comes down to like, you know, like the general like political structure of how things should work. And it also now just shows you straight up, like, I think these people just don't care. Like, I think that like these people and like just don't really like, it's not about like taking or like asserting control over what should be yours. Now it's about just asserting control over everything.
Yeah, because I mean, Crosshair did yield. Crosshair got, I mean, Cody got Crosshair to put his gun down. He was not going to mow her down until a higher ranked officer came in and gave a direct order. And we all know Crosshair can't fucking help himself. It's almost like he kind of gets off on following orders that he knows aren't the best. I really do. Like, I think there's a part of him that he likes doing this shit. But I also think this is why when we get to my next top moment, that Cody's words mean something to Crosshair. And I think Cody was given that speech about choices to himself, but I think he was really delivering that speech to Crosshair. That was like his roundabout way of saying, hey, pal, listen, like, we're different than those fucking droids. We can make our own choices. And you better think about your choices, because the choices we make, we have to live with. It's not just code that gets looped out in the next fucking, processing of or compiling of the code. So while Cody was more or less announcing across there, like, that was it, I'm done. But he was telling him, like, hey, pal, this shit,
you should consider this.
This shit ain't good for you. What you just did there was fucking wrong. I know why you did it. You had to do it because you can't help yourself. But just remember, we live with this type of stuff. And let's be real. If you look at how Crosshair, his body posture is in any scene, the dude is living with the pain of his choices. He is 100% miserable. He has no one. He truly is the solitary clone because of his choices. So very sage advice as Cody left Crosshair, and as we learned, went AWOL.
Yeah. May end up on Tatooine. Who knows?
There you go, hanging out in caves, being all sad. Yeah. He can be sad with Kenobi. They can be sad
with
together.
Kenobi, yeah, they can be sad together.
Master, perfect. Reach out. Master, hear me. So there you go. Looks like I included a bunch of other random screenshots because why not? It's a great looking animated Star Wars episode. So take in all the thoughts. You got, there he is. Crosshair walking out all by himself. No one loves him. Poor little Crosshair. All right. So to wrap up our deep dive breakdown of Bad Batch season 2, episode 3, The Solitary Clone, we've got a real brief look at some Clone Wars references because, Nick, this episode had 0 Easter eggs if you go by the definition of an Easter egg. All right. So we did have some Clone Wars series references. I didn't want anyone yelling at me like, hey, these aren't technically Easter eggs, you assholes. Like, all right, sorry. Sorry. I didn't know we cared so much about semantics. But there was some nice TCW callbacks in here. But first, some new characters. So Governor Groton was new. I checked that up. He did not exist. Tawny Ames was new. Desix was a new planet. And Wyler and Nova were new clones as well, just in case people were wondering. All right, so our Clone Wars references. Last week we got B1s and the AATs, their tanks. This week we got kind of rounded out the Separatist droid army forces. We got the tactical droid. Okay, that's always good. We got the commando droids. All right, those gave the clones a little bit of trouble. And it looks like I forgot to screenshot. But we also had
Droidicas.
Droidicas. No one can kill Droidicas. Was that Dodie Fine or whatever his name was? One of the Nemoidians.
Yes, one of the Nemoidians.
So, yeah, that's it. That's it for your, the big one, the cool lore one, if you're paying attention, was the mention of Mina Bonteri by Tani Ames. And if you go back and look it up, or if you watch my short, which I'd love you to check out, I actually have some new comic book breakdowns on our YouTube Shorts playlist, Star Wars 30 and Darth Vader 30. Check it out. Our boys and girls are in this no space thing. Could it be tied to Ahsoka's no space? I don't know. You got to check out the shorts. But, Nick, Mina Bonteri was the mentor of one Padme Amidala in the Republic Senate. Once the Clone Wars began, she left the Republic Senate and joined the Senate of the CIS. It was Mina and Padme in a Clone Wars episode, I believe in season 4 or 5, that tried to broker a deal for peace that ultimately got blowed up and got Mina killed and all this fun stuff. So Mina was just a casual reference by Tani in this episode, but she actually had screen time in the Clone Wars, has connection to the Skywalker adjacent characters, and Padme and her son, I believe, was a love interest of Ahsoka in the Clone Wars, Lux. So some cool connections there, but really zero Easter eggs and no cameos of note. So we'll see what happens this week. Hopefully it's light, because I'm back to work, and one video is better than two, if you know what I mean. Okay, so it's time to have a little fun with the Mandalorian. Okay, those of you that stayed up late last night thinking that the SWTS was going to do a trailer breakdown for the NFL playoff Mando S3 trailer that dropped Monday, when old man Tom Brady got his ass kicked by the Dallas Cowboys. Alas, you didn't get it. And that's because it aired late, and I knew I had some shit to do this morning, and we had a show. We're going to do a live show, so why not break it down live? I'm sorry for those that were looking for the breakdown, at least the three of you. Maybe next time, but who knows? I honestly have not had a chance to do a lot of trailer breakdowns, really, since prior to Kenobi, because of the lag and all the shit that did over the summer, and I'm just a failure. But anyways, we're here. We're going to break down this new trailer. It was short, but it had some thought-provoking imagery, scenes in it, if you will. So here we go. We've got our screenshots to go through. Nick and I are going to put on our speculator hats on, and we're going to drop some knowledge on some people, because I've read a few other breakdowns, and they're fucking terrible. Like, and again, it drives me nuts, because they're from popular sites that get screeners and tons of traffic. And it's like, what, do you people just like shitty takes? Like, I'm talking just wrong takes. We specialize in shitty takes. Like that, I'm proud of shitty takes, Nick. I'm talking like just completely wrong. Like, not even speculation wrong, just wrong. Like wrong character names, wrong location names. But okay, eat it up, people. If you don't want it from the experts, I get it. But here we go. I do have some general observations and speculations. I guess we'll touch on those if we don't already touch on them in the breakdown. But to start things off, we hear our man Din. Let me get the quotes, Nick, because I did write them down. I know you like the quotes. So the trailer starts, right? We're on like this mountainous planet. Who knows, Nick, if it's Tatooine or one of your favorite brown planets from Star Wars.
Any of the other sandy planets that are throughout the galaxy.
It's definitely going with the brown color palette. But he says, our people are scattered like stars in the galaxy. What are we? What do we stand for? So like we've been saying for years now at this point in time, and some of this is based on leaks and rumors, but Din is going to become a reluctant leader in season 3. All right. Remember we heard he's going to, for whatever reason, going to put a call out, and some Mandos are going to heed it and more or less coalesce around him. So that his words, that speech, that makes sense. Who is he talking to? I don't know. Maybe Bo-Katan, maybe the Armorer, maybe him and Grogu. I know they still can't really commune. Maybe he's just practicing on Grogu. Who knows? But
yeah, he's just looking in a mirror
Right.
doing this speech to
Right.
himself.
But Din's clearly starting to think about Mandalorians and their role in the galaxy. Like what? Why are we here? What do we do? Why do we do what we do? Type of shit. And as he's saying this, you see a bunch of Mandalorians just kind of they're having a little hike. All right.
Yeah.
And then this next shot, Nick, this is where I need you to kind of chime in, and you may have to zoom in on it. So it's still the same planet, same mountainous landscape, and the same group of Mandalorians. But if you look at it, I'm pretty sure Paz is there to the right. I think Bo is leading them all. I think Din is behind Bo to her right. And that could very well be Axe Woves to the far right in the image. So
so it's
these are groups you see together, right? So this could be after they have their powwow, their fights or whatever. But I do not see Children of the Watch, Bo's faction, Din, and whoever just all kind of hanging out on an adventure like this early on in the season.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. So this may be maybe this is even like them all coming together to approach Mandalore for the first time. Like you said, this is probably later in the season. I definitely agree that. But
don't you think that's Paz and Bo and Din, and not just like some of these disparate Mandos that we're going to look at with random armor
definitely.
colors?
I mean, you can see the helmet design of the front character, like the tip of the spear character is definitely Bo-Katan-esque. I mean, it's so hard to tell because it is kind of distant and blurry, but I would say that is Bo-Katan because it's got the night owl. Like it looks like her night owl helmet.
I mean, you could argue it's the armor, but dude, you see the white paint right there contrasting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think that's the armor. You would also be able to make out her little spiky things as well. Paz is definitely to the right of the frame. Yeah,
like this one right here. The image. I'm pointing it with the mouse cursor.
Din directly behind to the left. I mean, even to the left of Din, what's interesting is that this person is wearing like a kilt, almost like Boba. Because Boba wears he doesn't wear regular pants. He wears that kind of long kilt.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Thing. Yeah.
Everybody else, you can see that they're just wearing regular pants. So I wonder if that's Boba. That would be interesting if it was Boba. I mean, it could also just be another Mandalorian character that chooses to whip that skirt.
Looks a little
type thing.
slim to be our slightly pudgier Boba, but I see what you're saying with the flap there. But I don't know, like Sir Dork and I too thought that, maybe these are those, what we're going to see here in the next few slides. Maybe these are those Mandalorians, but no, I'm telling you, that's Din, Bo, Paz, and et al. And the reason that's interesting, my friends, is because these are factions that don't play well at this point in time. So what has happened that they're all together seemingly working towards or headed towards something as a collective. So I found that to be interesting if you really kind of zoomed in and paid attention to that quick shot there. But like I said, as he's saying this, what do we stand for? You do get shots of these other Mandos that don't seem to be night owls. All right, they don't have blue armor. Their armor's crazy. I mean, some of them have shore trooper pauldrons on. Some have yellow helmets. Some have blue. Some have maroon. These, to me, are going to be the ones that Din reluctantly leads, not the group walking on the mountains. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, these guys here are definite. It seems like it's the same planet, but it definitely seems like it's either a different group. I mean, it's so hard to tell if it's the same planet because there's so many planets that look like this. But it's it's a different group for sure. I would imagine this may be a group of his other Children of the Watch, his other bunker family,
or
that
just
may come
or just
earlier.
Mandos that
random
aren't a part of the Kool-Aid or Bo-Katan's, because you got to imagine they're not the end all be all factions. I don't think it's everyone rallied around Bo as she let their planet fall into Empire hands, or everyone went nuts and joined the cult. There's probably your moderates, your centrists out there that are doing their own thing. So yeah, like these multicolored Mandos, these are the ones that I could see heeding or hearing Din's call and coming to at least check it out. Like, all right, what is this fucking shiny dude? What does he have to sell us here? What's he trying to say? I don't know. I'm stuck on this group shot because I'm telling you, those are the clones we already know. These are not clones. The Mandos we've already met. And the fact that you have all those different groups together, it speaks volumes to something has happened. Maybe they're walking to go fight each other and kill each other at some, ritual place on Mandalore, but that doesn't really even look like Mandalore. But who the fuck knows what Mandalore even looks like? We don't know. It essentially got glassed. Who knows what that did to its climate? Who the fuck? But I had to zoom in on that. I'm like, that's Paz Vizsla, and why is Din hanging out with him? Because they're clearly not buddies. I mean, Din has been excommunicated, and Paz tried to already beat him down and take the Darksaber. So they're not going to be playing yet. And we know Bo and Din are going to have beef in this season. So that's why I'm saying. So
it seems like a lot of the beef gets put to the side.
Hopefully.
So we'll see.
All right. So really some of these other shots are useless. I think they're really making a point that Grogu is not going to be staying in his bubble for too long. It seems him and Din are going to like to snuggle travel. So some lovely shots there of Din passed out while they're traveling in hyperspace with the little guy. Nick, these shots of the city, that's fucking Navarro. So Grief Karga has been doing some work. Like, some shit.
Got everything looking real nice.
Like, fuck, he's expanding. I mean, dude, they built like a whole addition to the city since he's taken over as magistrate. But this is 100% Navarro unless they relocated the statue of IG-11 to a new town, which I highly doubt happened here. The other thing I want to point out about these scenes on Navarro, if we look at the one shot, Nick, look who's traveling behind Din at this point in time. It's our buddy R5. And as we see in this trailer, he does pick up R5 at some point in time. So why do you think...
Gets him in the ship as well.
Right. Why do you think Din, a guy in season 1 who would have shot droids on the spot, who now has kind of a... he appreciates droids more after his experience with IG-11. But why now... when for his whole life he's never had a droid companion, why now do you think he is taking R5? Is it just to
give astro navigation? It's like I think now, like he said in the beginning of the trailer, like you need, like, not only do you need to know how to fight, you need to know how to make your way through the galaxy.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of places that he's not familiar with, like, you need an astro navigation droid that can, like, get you there, plot good jumps to get you there in efficient time. So I think it just may be out of necessity.
That's kind of what I was thinking. It's probably, you would think Mandalore is probably on the main star charts unless the Empire wiped it out, deleted it like Dooku did with Kamino. But maybe it's like another secret planet that he has to visit first. But I was thinking the same thing. It kind of like a B point. It gives Din a droid companion, which most Star Wars heroes have. It's like you almost have to have one, right? I mean, every Cal Kestis had one, Luke had one, Anakin had one, Leia had one, Padme had one. They all fucking have droids, right? So it's a thing. So he gets them that. But yeah, I'm thinking for the navigation, probably to systems, planets that may not just be built into the N1's GPS. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I think that, like, the especially for a starship that small that was initially designed without hyperspace capability, like, there's only so much that you can do to it to modify it to be able to, like, to have, like, a decent astro navigation computer that can, like know some planetary jumps and stuff like that. Outside of that, you're gonna need a droid that actually does have like a bunch of like the way to calculate like farther jumps, go to planets that you may not be familiar with, stuff like that.
Like fly through asteroid belts, shit like that. And people in the chat are bringing up some good points. R5, he is an astromech. He was supposed to be Luke's droid, so he could also do a little maintenance on the N1, or did patch it up here or there, or, break out his little mechanical arms while they're flying and tap into the systems. So, yeah, there's a lot of good reasons to have a droid. It's just, we remember Mando was very anti-droid because of the nightmares of his past and the droid army killing his mom and dad, yada, yada. But now that he's down with him on these big quests, it seems like Din is finally going to get his Star Wars droid companion, so you can check another box on how to make cool Star Wars characters for Din Djarin here. I like this, was someone said here. Season 6 of Mando in Navarro has become Coruscant Beta. I like it. Yeah, I mean, it's like Grief Karga's got like a fucking... planet-sized 3D printer. He's just shitting out buildings every other day. He's
I know.
I need a building over there.
Crazy.
I need a building over there, and one here. Navarro. Yeah. I mean, it is.
He's been able to build this up pretty quickly.
If you think about it, I mean, Navarro was, it looked more bootleg than Mos Eisley in season 1. But
I was gonna say it was like hut, like small huts. It looked a lot like Tatooine, and now you have like these big, beautiful buildings, domed tops. I mean, even the streets themselves, you see like cobblestone streets and stuff. Like
they got their own. They got the town square, and that's where IG-11's at, standing on a trooper helmet. So that's why we know this is Navarro. All right. So the trailer moves on. Like Nick said, you did get some more words from our man here. Being a Mandalorian is not just learning about how to fight. You also have to know how to navigate the galaxy. That way, you'll never be lost. So, yeah, I mean, it's like, who is Din speaking these to? Is it just Grogu? Is it another Mandalorian? Is it a mentor? Who knows? But clearly, I don't know. I mean, these words, Nick, it could be reluctant leader Din speaking to these people looking to him for wisdom in leadership, or it really could be him and Grogu having dad and son talks.
I mean, I do think that the conversation that he's having is likely to some of these like disenfranchised Mandalorians, because they've spent so much of their time just like living in the darkness, just surviving, not even really living. Like they're just out there, like they're not showing their face as much as they can. They're staying under the radar. And now he's like, we actually need to like insert ourselves back into the galaxy, for lack of a better way to put it. Like if we organize and we like come together, we can be a force within the galaxy like we once were again. I doubt that he would be saying this to Grogu. I just don't think that like the lines that were spoken
when they're in hyperspace, they're just sitting there like, "Hey, buddy, what do we stand for? Come on, Grogu, what do we stand for? God damn it, what does that shirt mean to you?" So I do think it is probably him trying to, or at least practicing his leader chops, his football coach motivational speeches, if you will. But yeah, I mean, we know he's going to Mandalore. He doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. So I mean, he more than likely is talking to the armorer when he says, "I'm going to Mandalore so that I may be forgiven for my transgressions." Like, this guy went to more CCD than Nick and I. I mean, the cult really has this dude fucked up in the head. And I think that's going to get addressed in this season, because if you remember, really the first time Bo-Katan meets him and they realize he is from the Children of the Watch, he's like, "Yo, you fucking cocksuckers fractured the Mandalorian people. It's you guys that broke everything." I think even in some of these trailers, she says directly to Din, "Your people are the reason why we're fractured." So while Din is going to kind of sanitize himself and get back in with the Cuckoos, it's ultimately going to be kind of sanitizing all Mandalorians and getting their asses kind of back on the same page, and realizing that their bullshit with each other and between their clans is why they were able to be taken down, their planet robbed, families destroyed by the Empire. And it's because they're petty assholes.
Yeah. I think like it's going to be interesting to see exactly how everything kind of comes together, because it's surprising to me that there is even a screenshot that shows, or a shot from this trailer that shows like what we essentially assume to be like towards the end of this this season. Like like where we start and where we end is going to have a huge movement in terms of like how, not only how like Din views all of the other Mandalorians out there, but it also has to be how the Armorer views all of the other Mandalorians out there for Paz to be a part of that group. Like
that dude, that's why I'm telling you, man, that one shot, and I really do think that's Paz, Bo, and Din. Why are they all together? What are they looking for? Because they should not be together.
Yeah, I mean it's an odd collection. So it's going to be interesting. Like, do Din and Paz just choose to like go against the Armorer, or is it the Armorer that's like, maybe we do need to finally like group up with everybody else and make our way?
To me, Nick, I think the scene between him and the Armorer could be episode 1, because if you think about it, that's him. Yeah. To the dummies out there, setting the narrative for the season. All right, this is my mission this season, to make up for my transgressions. And then from there, we run into all the other hijinks that's really going to flesh out the different plot points that season 3 is going to cover. But knowing what we know, and that the bulk of the story is going to be his supposed redemption, and kind of the coalescing of the Mandalorians around him, it does make sense that he would go and announce his intentions early in the season, if not episode 1. So this could be him coming back from his foray with Boba, helping him out and checking in with Mom in the gold bucket, like, hey lady, I know you kicked me out, and I really am going to go commit to do the challenge, or whatever, what's it called? Penance you handed out to me. Yeah. So
go to the mines.
Yeah,
of Mandalore,
I'm doing it, and
cleanse yourself in the waters.
And that's where she would be like, okay, well, you got to watch out for these people, and remember Bo-Katan, I told you about it. Blah 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 blah. Who knows? But I could see Mando and the Armorer having their talk episode 1 to kind of establish that main narrative of the season. We get one of our best shots yet of the bombed out, I forget what the building was called on Mandalore, but it's that big ass circle building that we've seen in Rebels, and we saw it literally get blown up in the Book of Boba Fett. So this is when either Din or that gauntlet is flying in, kind of looking down at the shelled out city here. I want to know how he got Grogu back. Oh. No, I think he's just making fun of people. Okay, so we see, obviously he's going to go check in with Peli. You have to. She's become one of the series' best characters. And, they're like buds. She's his Q, if you will, for James Bond people. I mean, she's maybe a little more direct in how she talks with Mando.
So a little less sophisticated,
right?
Than
But
Q.
but that's kind of where he goes to get his shit, right? That's get stuff fixed or get new gear. So and that's where he's obviously going to pick up R5, because we know Peli has had him in her droid crew since season 1. All right, Nick, the cityscape. Obviously, we're all going to go right to Coruscant. But is there any chance this is Hosnian Prime?
I don't think so. I mean, one, we haven't really had a good look at Hosnian Prime to see. I mean, like we saw it from essentially the like a pulled out view right before it gets exploded.
Well, you do. I don't know if
7.
you remember. They do kind of go right in on that one New Republic officer, so you get to see the cityscape, and it does feel very Coruscant-y, if you will. But I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know. I mean,
yeah. I mean, it could be.
When did the New Republic set up on Hosnian? I don't know. I mean, I'd assume they moved into Coruscant for a little bit. That's a territory.
And then moved. Yeah. I immediately assumed that this was Coruscant, but I mean, it could be Hosnian Prime. I guess it just depends on like at what stage, like kind of what you're saying, like at what stage in development is the New Republic in at this time? Have they just like retaken over Coruscant and haven't moved to Hosnian Prime yet, or is this like after their official like?
If you really look at this, the first shot, it doesn't.
You can see like a roadway.
Yeah, it doesn't seem as skyscraper crowded or even as skyscraper tall as Coruscant, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I went there too.
There's more ground-based.
I was like, flying cars, buildings, Coruscant. That's just we're conditioned to do that. But if you think about the time when this is taking place, there's a chance this could be in the Hosnian Prime system.
Yeah, it could be.
But we see the whole reason we get this shot, Nick, is they check in on. It looks like Pershing is out and about, and he's allowed to freely travel. So I guess we have to assume he could potentially be working for the New Republic at this point in time, because I don't think they're just going to let one of these Tantis scientists that they've captured working for the Remnant, working on Grogu blood, to just like, oh, hey, see you later. You made bail. We shot your ear off in season 2. That's enough penance. You have fun. Enjoy your freedom. So do you think the New Republic has tapped Pershing to work for them?
I mean, potentially. I mean, he's been captured, unless this is like a transfer, like he's being transferred somewhere from where he was. I guess prior.
You could argue he is in. It does look somewhat prison-y-ish garb.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very simple outfit. But it does kind of look like he has some sort of insignia, whether it be a name tag or whether it be something else, but it doesn't look like, I mean, he's not in his old like medical, or like you were saying, the Kaminoan garb. So he's definitely changed out of that. I almost wonder if this could be like a prisoner transfer for him to go talk to somebody within the New Republic government. But yeah, it would seem odd, especially a quick turnaround of like, we've just captured this clone scientist that was working with nefarious forces to now he's working with us. But then again, that shit happens all the time. Yeah, I mean,
you would think Pershing probably really just liked science and got mixed up, maybe even got abducted and forced to do this shit for the Empire, kind of like how that's really what they like to do. So he's probably not going to be like if they captured... Well, they did capture Gideon. He's not going to be defiant. Pershing's probably like, sweet, I'm not dead. Those guys were fucking crazy over there. I'm good. Whatever you guys want, New Republic, I'm here for you. You want me to tell you everything I know? Sure thing. You want me to go do this and talk to that guy? You got it. I'm here for you. So it could be some of that too, where he almost feels rescued now that he's not working for the Remnant Empire. Yeah.
Definitely.
So we're going to look at my man...
More than willing to participate.
My man, Captain Carson Teva here. And he gave us a quote. And I do not think he was delivering this to Din Djarin. So I want to know who Nick thinks he was talking to. Because I don't see Din and Carson in street clothes just hanging out talking about the future of the New Republic. But he says there's something dangerous happening out there. And by the time it becomes big enough for you to act, it will be too late. Is he talking to Leia? Or New Republic
big enough
leadership?
For you to, I would say big enough for you to act leads me to believe that it is New Republic leadership, because usually, like, especially at like the leadership level of like a government, like you're not seeing all of the small things that are happening. Like you're not seeing tiny pockets of this, or you're not seeing like small happenings of underground resistance cells and stuff like that. It's similar to the like what happened with the Empire, like how the rebellion grew out of like small cells and stuff like that and grassroots movements, and they just didn't pay any attention to it. So maybe like he has been tracking some, like him in Filoni's character. What's his pilot's
Wolf.
name?
Trapper Wolf.
Trapper Wolf. Yeah. So maybe like they've been tracking.
Well, yeah, because
like,
I mean they're essentially
underground activity.
They were going to be the Rangers of New Republic, and that's really what Wolf and Tiva have been doing in the Mandalorian S1 and 2. They're out in the Outer Rim just kind of patrolling in their X-Wings, looking for weird shit. So the weird shit, the dangerous things happening out there. Now this is where we're getting very speculative based on some Ahsoka stuff. Do you think he's referring more to the new Beyond and the potential threat of that, and maybe not Thrawn by name, but shit in there? Or do you think he's still worried about Gideon in the with the remnants up to with the Science C and Pershing stuff?
I don't think that it's gonna be like the unknown or the great beyond or whatever the fuck they're gonna call it yet. I don't think it's gonna be the unknown regions yet.
Okay.
Just because I don't know, like I feel like it's especially like these guys, like they're more focused on like core, like patrolling the actual like core worlds and everything that is under like, you know, that was under the purview of the Empire at the time. So I feel like he might be talking more about like, you know, the Imperial Remnant warlords popping up and stuff like that, and like people who are kind of you know, popping up in the outer sections or the outer rim that may be more focused, like kind of Imperial sympathetics and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
I just don't know if like the outer regions would be like what they're particularly investigating.
Yeah, it makes sense because if you think about it, he was trying to get details on what happened on Navarro in season 2 when they took down that lab. I mean, he's like shaking down the Carano and Grief, you know, trying to get, I think, even Din to open up on what happened on Navarro. So, yeah, they probably, I mean, the New Republic obviously would have been alerted to that lab base on Navarro, especially after Din and company blew it the fuck up. So it probably is more relegated to the Remnant. But, you know, there's probably going to be some tangential connection to the Ahsoka stuff, the unknown, the big bad, you know, what's going to be our end game event for this Mandoverse. Some good guesses in here from our chat friends. 1/6 shooter, younger, Holdo. I was thinking that. Akbar would be a good one. Mon Mothma would be a great one. We could do Mothma, Akbar, and Holdo. And honestly, Nick, now that they've taken the liberties with Luke, voice and likeness, do you think they would potentially hire Leia's daughter and do a Leia VFX trick on that character?
Maybe so. I know. Well, one, it probably couldn't be Billy Lord because Billy Lord was probably still pregnant during this time period of her filming.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because she.
Yeah, because we know they really don't have to look that alike, because some of the Luke doubles that they've been using, it's more like just his height they need versus his full-on appearance.
Yeah. I think that like if they were to do it, it probably wouldn't be her. More likely because she was pregnant. Yeah. I think that like
it would be a cheap trick too. I think Mothma, honestly,
would be a solid.
Yeah, like Mothma, Akbar, and even Holdo, like a triumvirate like that would be pretty slick. I would dig that, because Holdo's actually been popping up in the Star Wars comic run more often than not right now. She's actually trapped in no space with Luke, Leia, and Lando at this point in time. So and you know, we got, I know a lot of you hate it, but they are going to start making more and more parallels, connections to the sequels. And Holdo would be a great kind of bridge for that. So the other thing of note here, Nick, check out his patch. Dude's in Rancor Squadron. Check that shit out.
I saw that. Yeah, the yellow.
Yeah, Rancor Squadron.
I wonder how they chose, if they chose that name themselves, if they were assigned that, or like why they would be Rancor Squadron.
I don't know. It's sweet though. I dig that patch, man.
That,
I want that.
Cool.
I want that bomber jacket.
Cool.
Maybe Columbia will do that next year for their, you know, every winter
for their $500 jacket drop.
I got my hoodie this year though. I got it at $150. It's sweet. All right, good stuff there. Yeah, so that was interesting. You know, who's he talking to? And it has to be New Republic leadership. It wouldn't make sense being anyone else. All right, what else we got here from the chat? Okay, I'm mostly caught up. Okay, then we get more shots of Din. This one, he's in the hall. This is Bo's stronghold. We still don't know if she's holed up on Mandalore itself or an adjacent planet, a moon. But he is going to go and talk with her at some point. We know that. They got to hash some shit out. Clearly, these two, probably more on Bo's side, right, Nick, have beef where Din's just like, yo, I just fucking showed up, fought some angry asshole that was going to cut up my little buddy with a glowy black sword. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about with honor this, and I'm the leader now. Remember, he's like, here, take it. I don't want it.
Yeah, he was trying to give it away. Like
please.
It seems like he may not have even known like what the dark saber was.
That's what I mean. Like the bunker people didn't teach him that lesson. I mean, Armor gave him the fairy tale after the fact once he found it, but until he didn't fucking know. He's just, like I said, he's just trying to stay alive.
Yeah, so I think that there is going to be a heavy amount of confusion that that Din needs to work through in the beginning of this.
I mean, the dude,
of this relationship.
If you think about it, it probably hasn't even been a year. He was just collecting bounty pucks, and then all of a sudden he's now embroiled in the biggest galactic conflict since the fall of Death Star 2. It's fucking It's like, shit, I should have never taken that goddamn mission, Grief, you son of a bitch. Motherfucking pucks. All right, moving on. This dark shot in green, Mines of Mandalore, where the living waters may be, we think, probably. Because that's where he's got to go.
There's really like nowhere else that this could sensically or like it would make sense for it to be. Like, I don't know any other like what other underground mine location that he would be in. So yeah, probably so. And then the next scene almost like, or the next shot almost confirms that him picking up.
A lot of people are like, "Oh, that's Tar Vizsla's helmet," and it's like, nah, it's just bombed out helmets from the Night of a Thousand Tears or whatever.
There's no way that like Tar Vizsla's helmet would just be like sitting like buried like that in the mines. Like it.
Yeah,
it
belongs in a museum, right? Sorry, I just watched a lot of Indiana Jones.
That would have been like 100% recovered by Mandalorians of that time and like kept in a safe place, or buried with tar or something like that.
I got to address a comment down here. Bat is saying there's a theory floating around that Mando's fighting the Battle of Jakku. I know the Battle of Jakku was years after the fall of the Death Star, but it's happened by the Mandoverse timeline. Almost positive.
Yeah, I think so.
Kingdom Weird. Are these damaged from the weapon created by Sabine? Kingdom Weird, it's more than likely from the TIE bombers we saw in the Book of Boba Fett during the Night of a Thousand Tears when they literally blew the living shit out of that domed building. But yeah, you don't know. I mean, you could argue that they did. Did they in Rebels, Nick? Do you remember? Was she able to destroy the weapon ultimately that she created that literally cooks Mandos in their armor? I think
she did destroy it because I remember her like going up like the building where it was being housed and like taking out whoever was using it.
Well, I'm pretty sure it kills her brother.
Maybe she just Like maybe she just disabled it and she didn't destroy it. I'm not sure.
So either way, though, I mean, the blown out landscape is from hundreds of TIE bombers just dropping their payloads on the Night of a Thousand Tears for sure. Our fans, they don't want that to be Tar Vizsla either, and I really don't. I don't think
it is. So the Battle of Jakku happened in 5 ABY, which we're good then. Before the Mando timeline starts.
About 2 years before.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess it's not so dumb, but maybe we learn here that there were some Mandos fighting for the New Republic at that point in time. I think they may eventually have to connect New Republic, Mandalorians like us, they'll fight with us. Don't you think a little bit? Or are we relying on Din to do all that PR for the New Republic?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that the New Republic would be actively courting Mandalorians, right? Like,
Probably not, unless there was like this imposing threat that we all think is coming in the form of more than likely Thrawn and this undead army. But all right,
especially considering that like the people that have formed the New Republic are also the people who, like a lot of the same people who were a part of the old, like the Grand Republic. So, and we know that the Grand Republic and the Mandalorians did not have a great relationship or had any relationship at all. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they are. Maybe it is just kind of like a Din on his own thing, and then also like once he works out his stuff with Bo-Katan, then it's kind of like them two kind of working together.
Did this surprise you that they included the Grogu flashback for this season in the trailer? Or since they already teased it in Book of Boba Fett, it's like, all right, well, we already got that there. Yeah. We saw him in the temple during Order 66. We saw Jedis falling, protecting him. But they just came straight out. Like the first shot, it's Grogu. You can see the lightsabers in his eyes, so he's clearly behind these four. And if you see, there's someone coming through the door. And usually when the door is melting, that someone has a lightsaber, typically.
A lightsaber. Yeah.
I know some people are saying the dude with the long hair could be Sin Drelig. I do not think so. He wasn't wearing a robe, although I guess you could argue that he throws his robe off in the middle of combat.
He takes his robe off.
But it doesn't look like we're definitely getting another Order 66 flashback. So I guess the only question is, do you think that's Anakin coming through the door or clones? And do you think this will give us the finality of Grogu's Order 66 ordeal, or do they keep some cards to their chest?
I don't think that this is the end of the Order 66 ordeal for
more teases.
Grogu. Maybe maybe it's like the end of like the Order 66 part of it.
Okay, so we could see him get out here. We could see him get out of the temple, or this flashback ends with that still unresolved.
It could end. I think it could end with this still unresolved. But I also think that there could be further flashbacks that are just that like take place, after the initial Order 66. Like what was happening to him before he ended up where Mando found him. Like you see other locations that he bounced around to. You see him kind of like.
But you think this is going to give us the save, and we may know who saves him at the end of this flashback, or are they still going to hold on to that?
Maybe I think they'll hold who saves them. Yeah, I think they'll hold who saves them. But I think that there are still some
Connor. You can tell he's not as brain dead as us, or at least me. And he's right. I mean, Anakin clearly is too obvious. So he's spinning here. What if it's a straight up bait and switch, and when that door opens, it's fucking Mandalorians coming through?
To get him?
Maybe not Grogu, but to steal back the Darksaber now that all this turmoil is happening at the Jedi Temple.
Interesting. That's possible. I guess that's possible.
Where would the Darksaber be at this point?
I would say I don't know where the Darksaber.
No, it's not with the one. Okay, we're good. We can kill that one.
I was gonna say I don't think that the Darksaber would even be and also. There's no way that they would have 5 Jedi or 4 Jedi that we can see guarding the Darksaber, especially at a moment like this.
No, they're clearly guarding Grogu. I think Connor was just saying, what if the Mandos were taking advantage of the situation to come get their relic? But I'm pretty sure the Darksaber is in Maul's possession at this point in time.
Yeah,
during Order 66.
I don't think that they have it. And then and here's the thing too: if it's Anakin coming through, there's no way that Grogu gets saved.
Exactly.
It's not
everyone
Anakin.
Up. I mean, honestly, this could be clones that didn't breaking through. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, this could be people who are actively also trying to save Grogu. That's a possibility too. Yeah, I mean it's hard to tell.
I don't know. Like I said, we like riffing on your thoughts. We're not making fun of everybody. It gives us stuff to speculate on. But I'm with everyone here. I think Anakin would be way too obvious. Although they probably would have had him filming for when he was doing the Kenobi Order 66 stuff. So there's definitely a possibility. But I am kind of on to the idea that this is going to be a bait and switch, and that whatever's coming through the door is actually coming through to help Grogu, not kill.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell. Like, it's impossible to tell at this angle. All we see is the door being cut open and like Jedi ready to guard. But like we were saying, if it's Anakin, then Grogu's just dead and doesn't get out. If it's clones, then you have the possibility that the Jedis protect him, and then they just try to, like, essentially, since their stronghold has been breached, like their fallback point has been breached, they just take him out, and they're like, okay, well, we have to leave now. There's no way that we can stay here, and then we have to just go somewhere else from here. But I don't think, like, it's 100% not Anakin. And it's also not Mandalorians. Those are two things that I can almost for sure guarantee.
I mean, as much as this show is about Mandalorians and Din, I think I'm most excited to figure out what the fuck happens here. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean,
I just...
This is kind of like the biggest question mark, and it's always been the biggest question mark since this series begun, is like, how did... Like, well, one, now that we know who Grogu is and that he was at the Jedi Temple, the question is now, like, how the fuck did he get out in the midst of Order 66 without being killed?
Yeah,
like,
props is he's in the chat leading it
could
on,
it be Ahsoka?
leading
like,
on
it could be Ahsoka,
as if he knows something here, right? It's definitely a lightsaber.
I mean, he may.
Bat your close. Well, hey, how many times I gotta say this? If you know something, pass it to the little birdie that lands on my shoulder every once in a while and tells me shit that can get us on the map, okay? Clearly, with Star Wars fans, you're only cool if you get leaks. So stop it. Stop it, props. Come on. If you know, let us know. Send me a goddamn email. You know, I was thinking Yoda too, but I don't know. You could argue that it's a little too high up on the door for Yoda's short ass to get in there, and he would have been... During Order 66, he's not at the temple. He's on Kashyyyk. If everyone remembers, he's on.
He doesn't
Kashyyyk.
get to the temple until much later when him and Kenobi get there. So,
right. Yeah, but it's funny that once we see shiny swords, we're all like, "Oh, Jedi every law, Star Wars mysticism, Star Wars magic. Who gives a shit about Mandalorians?" Oh man. Damn you, props. If you know, you better tell us. Ahsoka, where was she been? No, she's on the goddamn starship getting shot at by Rex and all the other fucking clones, so it can't be her. Mace, Windu.
Yeah, it can't be Ahsoka. Mace...
He would have had to. He would have literally had to have just picked his self off the street and then walk over there and go do it.
Yeah, I mean, technically it could be Mace. I mean, it could. That's the thing is, like, also, I mean, well, props is saying it's a lightsaber. What I was going to say is, like, maybe it's not a lightsaber. It's a very strong possibility. Like, we've seen doors like this be opened without lightsabers before.
Stormtroopers, they use that shit where they, it's like they take a wick, almost like a dynamite wick, and they light it, and it goes all the way around the door, and then it opens. Yeah,
so we know that that's a possible way to get in, but props is saying it's a lightsaber. It being a lightsaber puts it in very few people's hands. We already know that it can't be Yoda. We already know that it can't. It's not Kenobi either. Like,
no.
Kenobi's on Utapau.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Ahsoka is basically on Mandalore
it's either,
or on the light cruiser.
Mace Windu or a no-namer, and they're not going to do a no-namer. So it's pretty much where we're at.
I mean, like, who else the hell could it be? I mean,
or a non-Jedi with a lightsaber is trying to pry it open. Yeah.
Or, I mean, it's so hard too, because like you said, if you look how high up this goes, like, maybe they like started from the bottom and they're like bringing their saber up in like a wide arc. It's so hard to tell, but
I love it. This shit's going to give me, like, I'm not going to be able to sleep thinking about who's going to come through that door.
There's also, like, it's the elimination of a lot of named, like, it's not Ki-Adi Mundi. Ki-Adi Mundi gets wiped on,
he was on another planet.
Magneto.
Dead.
Ayla Secura is on Felucia. Like, so many of these named Jedi that we see get killed during Order 66.
You just said, Matt, you're actually close with that. props.
What did he say?
If you got
With
the
what?
knowledge, at least send it to like DM me or something. Like if you're really getting legit leaks and you're not sharing with me, I'm gonna have to ban you from the show. Okay, I just laid it out there. Let's go. I won't tell on you. I won't tell on you. Come on. So yeah, I mean, if I'm wondering if he said I'm close with Windu or close with it's a non-Jedi that is using a lightsaber to get it open. So I think it's the latter, which great. I mean, who could that be? A clone. It's not Rex.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Cody.
I mean,
he's out on deployment.
Rex is out. Cody's switched. At this point, there's almost no clones that would make sense because like Rex literally just is like Rex is with Ahsoka.
Yeah, shooting at her
So
until she rips the chip out
like-
of his head. So
Yeah, and there's no other unless we're right in assuming that it was the
50%
Bad Batch who rescued him.
I like this Alejandro
bad-
guy. He's like, yeah, 50% a Padawan. It's like, yeah, yes or
Yeah.
no. Yeah.
Like your only other option is that it's the Bad Batch, but we saw the Bad Batch wasn't on Coruscant during Order 66.
They're on another planet where
Yeah, they're
Caleb
on
Doom
another
was
planet.
at. So I mean, really, it has to be Mace Windu or no non-Jedi with a lightsaber. That's it. That's where
And
we're
the
at.
non-Jedi with a lightsaber is even harder
Yeah,
to
who the
pick.
fuck
Like, who the fuck could it be?
I
like,
mean, at this point in time, a non-Jedi with a lightsaber, who would it be?
Is it fucking Asajj Ventress? Like, why would Ventress go to save this kid?
I
though?
don't know, and that's why I love the character of Grogu, even though he drives some people nuts. Like,
So-
this is the shit. This is why I'm such
So
a Star Wars
mysterious.
junkie. It's this fucking lore guessing stuff, and it can get us in trouble, right? I mean, this is why the prequels didn't sit well with me because I sat around. I was like, oh, they're going to do this. They got to do that. I'm going to see this, and this. And then when I got it, it didn't hit those points I had in my head where right now we're spinning our own lore and some of it's dumb as fuck. Some of it's very interesting, but that's what's exciting. What are we going to get? Are we going to get the dumb as fuck shit where you're like, oh no. Or are we going to get the like, oh no, you didn't, Mr. Filoni, you son of a bitch. So I'm super excited for this scene right here. And hopefully it cuts off right at this moment, like the trailer, and you don't even get to see who it is
And you
until
don't even
season
see
4.
who comes out. You're just
Yeah.
like, oh well, we'll see. Like on the next episode, or like on the next time we check in with, you'll find out. Like, yeah, man,
Damn
it's different.
There we go.
It's a very
1/6
interesting-
shooter. It's Luthen Rael. That's it. I'm going with it. Fuck it. That makes the most sense. A non-Jedi with a lightsaber. Let's go.
You don't think Luthen's dead by the time? I mean,
No,
well,
this
I
is
guess
Order
not.
66.
Yeah,
He's
this is Order
he's alive
66.
and well.
Never mind. Yeah, this is yeah. I don't know.
Look
It could
at
be.
Props.
Maybe it is.
Props dropping a major tease. Props, we're going to have to do a Patreon for this. He said, hit the like and subscribe button to find out next time on SWTS.
Yeah.
I like your marketing, dude. You got to start letting me know, though. This is how I'm going to build up my TikTok and be like all the famous kids out there. All right, good shit, though. I mean, I knew this was these scenes stood out to most fans here because in the end, we love the Mandoverse. But oh boy, do we love our Star Wars magic more than anything else. Like, let's be real. Let's be real. Those lightsabers and the Force, that's why we keep coming back. Okay. Think new character, old actor. It's the fetus of Luke Skywalker. That's a good one. Think new character, old actor, potentially say they're close with Mace too. Think new character, old actor. Keep thinking about that, Nick. I'll move us into the next shot.
New character, old actor that's close with Mace Windu. Like that's
old.
I don't
actor.
know.
Cal Kestis.
But we've never seen Cal Kestis.
Well, no, he was somewhere during Order 66 too, because he watched his master get gunned down.
He was a kid and he was escaping the temple. Like you walk through that in the game, in the first game, like his escape from the temple during Order 66.
Actor, new character. Who's a new Star Wars character recently, but an old
that has a
actor?
lightsaber and that's not a
Fuck.
that's not a Jedi.
It's gonna drive me nuts.
I don't know.
Damn
Whatever.
you! Damn you, props! Damn you to hell! We gotta keep moving on. Okay, so we got a little bit of a ship battle in the next few moments in the trailer, and I love that they broke out the TIE interceptors. That's one of my favorite TIE variants. I think they're even cooler looking than Vader's TIE Advance. And B, Nick, this is one of those tricks where they make you think you're seeing one person flying a ship when they're not really flying that ship, because that's not the N1. That appears to be a Mandalorian Gauntlet starfighter. But if you know what I mean, like in the trailer, they cut back and you see Din. It looks like he's in a dogfight, but you can tell he's in the N1. The gauntlets are a lot bigger than the N1, especially their cockpit. So,
yeah, it's a different starfighter. You also don't see like the little, like even from this angle, you would be able to see where R4 was sitting in the ship, and you can't see that here either. Yeah, so this is definitely not.
Do you think
it's either not the N1 or it's not Mando at all?
No, so props. Yeah, I definitely think this is a Gauntlet starfighter. That was just kind of the model name for the Mandalorians. I don't know if it's Bo-Katan's in particular, but I do think it's a Gauntlet. Just, kind of based on the aesthetics of the scene, this seems like, Nick, it could be on the planet that Bo is holed up on if she's not on Mandalore, or do you think this is something completely different?
I mean,
because everything seemed kind of gray and drab in any of the Bo scenes or when she's in her throne room.
I'm trying to, I don't know. I don't think that this is the planet that Bo's holed up on. I think that it's hard to tell.
So I guess the interesting thing then is, why is the Remnant in a dogfight with a Mandalorian starfighter?
I mean, this could this be back on Navarro? Because this landscape kind of looks like Navarro. But I guess you would now with Grief kind of being the lead there. There's probably less conflict that's happening on Navarro. And I guess has the Remnant Empire been officially driven off of Navarro? Do we know that? I don't know if that was ever resolved at the end of season 2. We know that the Remnant had a base on Navarro.
I think we have to just kind of believe that is the case, Nick, especially with the expansion of the town itself. You would think that they've kicked them out.
So we're just assuming that they're off. So, I guess it could be, but it's just hard to make that direct connection. One thing that we do know is that this, a screenshot a little bit further down, is definitely on Navarro.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. But
so maybe this, I almost think that this is Navarro. This dogfight thing is Navarro, because there's some fight happening with Mandos on Navarro, and they've made their way all the way to the city center, where Din and Grief were meeting.
So do you think this is an iconic Mandalorian in this gauntlet that's not Bo-Katan?
Maybe so.
I mean, we do think Sabine could make an appearance in season 3, right?
Yeah, it's possible that she makes an appearance in season 3. She definitely pops up in the Ahsoka series. That's all but confirmed at this point.
And it seems Dave and John, they kind of like to tease characters in a property and then launch them into their own. So
into their next.
Maybe this is Sabine showing up on the scene, but you'd also have to think, wouldn't she be out farting around with Ahsoka, or maybe she's checking in on this Mandalorian stuff after she heard about the Darksaber reappearing and this Din guy getting it. You would think Sabine might want to check in on that shit, considering her clan was pretty high up in Mandalorian society, and at one point she did have the fucking Darksaber.
Yeah, I would imagine too that okay, so let's kind of I have to take these two screenshots, the one of the dogfight and the one that's directly below it, of the assault on Navarro, as one cohesive unit. That's how I'm looking at them. This is happening towards the end of the season, because we can see Paz up front, but we can also see Axe off to the left. So this is at a point to where
I don't know if I think that's just one of those random. These look like those random Mandos for sure. But I know, I just see this guy in dark blue, and I just think Axe. So maybe it's not. So this is for sure Mandos. They're not invading Navarro because they're already on Navarro. No, it looks like, and I actually want to spend some time on this, because this is, like you said, this is the town square. IG-11 statue decimated. You have Mandalorians and Force here. Paz is here. Are these all children of the Watch, or is this them after they've realized that, hey, if we work together, we're better? But why are they there? Like, what has happened on Navarro since when Mando showed up and was doing, the Predator 5 with Grief? Did the Remnant attack? Are Raiders attacking? Did they attack Navarro because of something the Mando came here for? And why are the Mandalorians here now, either attacking the city themselves or trying to take it back? I guess that's the first question. Do you think they're attacking Navarro, or do you think they're trying to take it back from the force that attacked it initially?
I would say that they're trying to take it back.
Okay.
Like, I would say that they're trying to, because, man, there's a bunch of hell already gone. Like, you can see, like, everything is fucked up.
Fucked up. Like, it went from being pristine, pimped out Grief cardboard to it almost looks like it did in season 1. It's all shelled out. Score marks are everywhere. Yeah. All the people are gone. The markets are torn down. You can see in the second shot where you get the Babu Frickers, the Anzalans or whatever they are. One of the people they shoot and kill is a Nikto. So was it gang? Did a gang come in? Did pirates come in and cause all this carnage? And then the Mandos are there to help. I don't know.
To help out, yeah. I almost, like, I do think that the Mandos are the good, like, side of whatever's happening in this conflict right now. Like, they are the ones who are...
You could almost think it's the opposite, that they're attacking. This is a friend of Din. Paz doesn't like Din, so on and so forth. But the fact that Paz is with all these other Mandos, and like you said, it does look like they're coming after something tragic has happened already.
Yeah. Like, this place has already been shelled out, and they're moving into it. You would imagine that, like, if they were the occupying force, they would be on the other side of the square shooting at whoever's coming into them.
So do you think this is the Remnant just exacting revenge on Navarro for harboring Mando, blowing up the lab in season 2? Or do you think it's other Mandalorians?
I almost think that it is the Remnant that's, like, bringing down their vengeance on Navarro, and specifically on Grief, since he's, like, taken over as the new magistrate of Navarro and stuff like that. And then, like, Din and the boys are like, all right, like, we have to go and defend this. Like, not only is this a place that, one of my friends run, like, Navarro is a very important place for the Empire to not have a stronghold in, like, for the Imperial Remnant to not have access to. So I think that's what's happening here. I think the Imperial Remnant is, again, like, is making a tactical strike against Navarro, and Din and the boys are coming to be like, hey, this isn't going to be a walk in the park for you.
So
like,
this too, you're thinking is deep into the season then?
I think so. I think that this is going to be, like,
past the halfway point, like 5 or 6, episode 5, 6, something like that. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's definitely one angle to take. And it did seem like they were shooting bad guys, because, like I said, one dude does the tow cable and pulls this Nikto down in front of the Babu Frickers. I know some people in the chat here, during these same scenes, Nick, there's a female Mando attacking guy on the ground. A lot of them are like, oh, that could be Sabine. I'm with you all. That's not Sabine at all. While I could see Sabine maybe being in that gauntlet we just talked about, and Sabine having a cameo in Mando season 3, I absolutely don't see her mingling and hanging out with Paz's group at all. So I don't think that's Sabine in some of those attack shots. And yes, you guys are right. If that's Sabine's gauntlet, it probably would be a little more styled. Maybe it is. Maybe they stripped it using VFX for the trailer to not give that secret away. But I like your take on that. Like, the Mandos, after kind of coming together, are coming back to retake Navarro after something tragic goes down. Hopefully our boy Grief makes it out. I mean, Carl Weathers is one of the directors for season 3. Yes. Like, that is, so, like, maybe this is, I mean, we don't know how and when. It's big going out.
Yeah, like, maybe
real quick, some of the ones we skipped over, but I think will be fun. But the droid scenes, Nick, I'm speculating that this is a droid bar, and when Din walks in, they're going to all turn around and hopefully say, "We don't serve your kind here." How great would that be, right? How great would that be?
That would be pretty great. That would be, it's like only droids. Yeah.
Here's
They only have oil in baths, like hot oil baths.
Bat's making a point here in the chat. Don't we usually only get first or maybe second episode shots? Yeah, but I mean, we didn't in Andor. Andor, we had some deeper episode shots, so you just don't know. But there's some classic droids in here. I mean, we got the B1s. We got my dude from A New Hope, that creepy looking white droid that was in the Sandcrawler, like staring at R2 and C-3PO. I think his name's like CX7 or something. He's in there. You got Death Star droids. I'm assuming they're going to this droid bar to meet with the Babu Fricks to potentially talk about that secret thing we know may happen with Grogu and the chassis of IG-11. I think I'll just leave it at that for this point in time, because that is a pretty big spoiler if it actually comes to be. But we've talked about it on this show, so I'm not going to feel too bad if you yahoos are listening. But there's a leak out there that essentially they're going to have to use the chassis of IG-11 to help Grogu out in battle. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
CZ1, there we go. That's the name of the white guy. I think I called him CX7. It's probably like a Mazda car model or something like that. Who knows? All right. And then really the last shots of note from the trailer are the cave shots where you see Grogu defending himself, which I think they're going to make a point of this season. Grogu is going beyond the cub, and thanks to his stop with Luke, his time away from Dad, he's becoming more capable of taking care of himself while Dad is out and about, or maybe down himself. Because we saw him kind of coming out of this cave, and he chucks this monster alien. Monster. If you notice, the monster is holding like this green jelly thing. I capture it in a screenshot. Yeah, who knows what the hell that was, or but yeah, he's throwing himself. So Grogu, no longer the weak little cub in his pram. It seems like if he's got to take care of himself, he's going to bust out the Force to its fullest capabilities.
Indeed. No longer defenseless Grogu, for sure.
Yeah, they're toy visuals. They're going Luthen Rael, Kyber crystals, shop full of Jedi relics, and the way he was wrecking shop in that fight scene, it's possible. You never know. Hey, I'm excited for it. I'm sure. I mean, honestly, this is the last full-length trailer you're going to get. We're probably going to start getting peppered with the TV spots coming up here over the next few weeks. Because you got to remember, we're only, what? Hell, it's not even 8 weeks out at this point. We just got to get through the not real month of February, and we're there. It's going to be here sooner than later. So
coming close.
I think we covered everything. Close. Some of my main plot line will be Din regaining his honor by going to the mines of Mandalore. No shit. Subplot will focus on the various Mando factions and getting them to work together after setting some beef. So those would be Bo's faction, the Armor Children of the Watch, and then the Rando Mandos, as I like to call them. Another subplot will be the focus on New Republic and the threats that are emerging via Pershing and Tiva. And a final subplot will shed more light on Grogu's past and his Order 66 escape and growing abilities. Mando goes to a droid bar. All right. Children of the Watch attack what seems to be Navarro. See, there you go, Nick. I was thinking they were attacking, but I think you are correct. I think they're coming in to free. Mando needs R5 more than likely for space travel. So there you go. We're a fucking genius as usual. All right. We got a rumor, then we're going to get into our fan segment for the week. But real quick, this rumor here, I might be able to get through it before I piss my pants. I might not. So we got a new rumor for the Ahsoka series coming from Making Star Wars' Jason Ward. Like I said, the dude's been dropping stuff at least weekly at this point in time. And this one's pretty cool if you're a fan of Rebels and Beasts. Not bestiality, you sicko, but just beasts, as in animals. All right, so spoiler, just in case. Spoiler. All right. So according to Making Star Wars, the Ahsoka series is going to see the first ever live-action version of a Loth Wolf. Okay? And to sweeten the deal, Ahsoka is going to use it as her mount. So we're going to see Ahsoka Tano in live action riding a live action Loth Wolf in the Ahsoka series. And apparently, Nick, if you're starting to worry about how that may look, it's all
See a picture.
It's all practical. So making Star Wars has heard from his sources that just like the Orpaks in the Rise of Skywalker, you know, those like 6-legged horse things, that they're going to kind of do the same thing for the Loth Wolf and Ahsoka, where they're going to use a horse for Rosario to ride, but they're just going to dress it up like a Loth Wolf. And apparently the effect works based on those on set that saw it. Jason said that the wolf is going to be used in both casual and action sequences. So you could see her riding it in battle or just kind of, riding it around town, I guess. But it was created using a horse for the actor to ride on to make it look more real when they're actually on it, and not like our boy Ewan. We have to sit there and essentially dry hump a pommel horse.
Just like a green covered.
Yeah, he just sit there like he's like
that piece.
Yeah, like he's got something up his ass. He's like, oh yeah, opie. But I mean, they've done this forever. I mean, they used elephants for banthas, so this isn't a new trick for Star Wars. But apparently, there was talk to make it an animatronic like the wolf in Neverending Story. That did not happen. They went with horses. But here's kind of the interesting thing, and you can kind of spin it the way you want. But MSW is reporting that the wolf was nicknamed Doom. But if you remember Star Wars Rebels, after Kanan passes away, he essentially embodies his Force spirit in a large Loth Wolf that just sits there and goes, Doom, Doom, which is Caleb Doom, Kanan's true identity, his Jedi form. So, like I said, depending on how you spin it, if this turns out to be true, this Loth Wolf is in it, its name is Doom, Kanan is technically going to be in the Ahsoka series.
Could be, yeah. If we go that route, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. And it would make sense that if Ahsoka knew that one of the Loth Wolves was essentially imbued with the spirit of Kanan, that she would choose that one to be her traveling companion.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, the Loth Wolves were huge in Rebels, especially after Kanan died. I mean, I think that's what they lead Ezra to, that buried Jedi temple that has the World Between Worlds in it. So they've got ties to World Between Worlds. They were painted on the Rebels epilogue mural as real big wolves. So, and the fact that this is Dave's series and Dave's character, and Dave has a huge Woody for wolves, it all makes sense. So I definitely...
Trapper Wolf, Loth Wolf.
Dude, I mean, the guy,
Wolf, so many...
Captain Wolf, I mean,
lots of wolves.
He's got a thing for wolves. So, yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. Not so much like, oh, we got a live-action Loth Wolf. We've had live-action Loth Cats. It's not that. I think, to me, Nick, the more exciting aspect is the fact that, yes, it could very well be that Doom, the Caleb Doom Wolf from Rebels. And you have that spiritual tie to Kanan Jarrus.
That is a good call for sure. That is a good call. So, I mean, this is interesting. It's not surprising given the fact that, the connection between the Loth Wolves and the World Between Worlds, also the connection between all of that and Ahsoka. So it's not surprising that we would see one of those in there. What I'm curious about is how does she travel with this thing? Like, if she's going between planets, does she just right?
Is there a stable? Is there a stable on the Ghost if they're using the Ghost? Yeah. I mean, where do you load it up? Yeah. Or is it?
Or does it just travel through the portals? Just be hey,
that's what I'm going like a Force Ghost. So you can just show up when needed.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going here, so just open a portal to to Navarro when I pop up over there, and then I'll meet you.
Yeah, no, it'll be I mean, honestly, it could be something that's only used in an episode or two, and then they go on the big adventure. We still don't really know how they're going to tell the Ahsoka story. Is it going to be all through World Between Worlds, and you just get anecdotes told through that, or will the world between worlds be a tool that sends her on the journey that we see? We don't really know. We just have some of the plot beats at this point in time, but all this makes sense. I mean, Dave Filoni, Ahsoka, and the way she's always been with beasts. I mean, just look at Tales of the Jedi. She saved herself as a baby because she's able to communicate with animals. Her tie to the owl, or what is it, Morai? Yeah, Morai. I mean, she definitely has a connection to beasts more so than other Force users that we've been presented.
Very true.
The world between wolves. That's right, Trevor. All right. I think that's it. Well, it's got to be it, because I'm literally going to piss myself. Like, I've got to pee so bad I can feel it in my eyes. So let's go ahead and transition over to the fan segment this week. I'll get it set up. Nick can start reading stuff, and then I can go let this fire hose release its poison. But every week we do a fan segment, and there's two parts to it. First is Question of the Week, which we post on Star Wars Time Show, at Star Wars Time Show on Instagram. Look in the stories in our profile, leave a comment or leave a DM, and it may get featured on an episode of the Star Wars Time Show during the Question of the Week. And then obviously we have the top 5, which we'll be talking about here in a little bit. So let me get the screen switched up for you, Nick. I'll read the question, I'll do my one, and then I'll let you start on the next. So
there we
push
go.
That, no, not that button. Let's push this button. Okay, and then that one. Good. All right, so the question of the week was, what was your favorite or least favorite part from Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 3, The Solitary Clone? Okay, we had one story reply at the time of going live from our boy Rippick __tan, and he had to say, a top-notch episode. Favorite part was the way they brought back the droideka. It was like a horror movie. Main characters are defending themselves through a stairwell. All goes silent, and a familiar but scary sound that our main characters recognize starts echoing about. No one knew where it was coming from right away. Then, pow! Master Destroyers! All right. Good one, Rippick.
All right.
And Nick, let me get you set up here, and then I am going to go enjoy myself in the bathroom. All right.
There we go.
Go.
Got a quick one first. This is from Toy_Spectre. And they say, probably Cody going AWOL off screen. Wish we got more of Imperial Cody before defecting, especially him meeting Rex. So I am just going to throw it out there. It's like, I understand, yeah, a little bit more Imperial Cody would have been good, but I feel like they didn't want to focus too heavily on like this character that they know is going to be switching over to the good side, like doing too many Imperial deeds and stuff like that. So I assume that we're going to see more Cody in Bad Batch. So it's not going to be the last time that we see Cody, and we could also still see a meeting of Cody and Rex, even though I find that to be highly unlikely. I don't think that we're going to get a Cody Rex meeting just because of, one, the fact that Rex has had his chip removed. He's going to have a lot of trust issues with clones that don't have their chip removed. Two, Rex is like very deep underground working with Ahsoka to try to set up the like.
Hey, dude, that was a great point, by the way, because if you remember from Bad Batch Season 1, when Rex runs into Clone Force 99, he essentially pulls his gun. He's like, you guys, we need to go get your fucking chips out because I don't trust you motherfuckers.
Exactly. So like if Cody's gonna like just walk up to Rex and be like, hey buddy, I'm back, like Rex would be like, get the fuck away from me. Like he would be extremely wary of something like that. So I do expect that we're gonna see Cody
100%.
again in Bad Batch Season 2, but I think that a Rex Cody meeting would be a little hard to pull off, especially considering like what Rex is doing right now and the fact that like Cody is probably going to be like off the grid for a bit and then trying to reach. I assume that we're going to have a Bad Batch Cody meeting, but I don't know about Rex.
I mean, it could be similar to what happened in Season 1, where I can't remember if Rex gave him the mission, but remember they go and rescue Gregor from that facility. So you might get Rex like, hey, since he's been out there doing it, maybe the AWOL clones eventually find their way to Rex, and you could potentially Rex sending the Bad Batch to go and get Cody, who's been, captured and potentially going to be brought back to the Empire. I don't know, but yeah, I'm with you. I don't think we'll see Cody again with Rex. It would either have to be a mission to get Cody from Rex, or something down the line once we know that Cody has taken care of that shit in his head.
Yeah, exactly. So, good stuff there from Toy Spectre. Next up is Padfoot816. He says, I like that there is a reason why the Empire was doing away with the clones instead of just financial problems. Also, it sheds some light on how fiercely loyal Crosshair is and how he's losing everyone and feels
that's
betrayed.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Crosshair's loyalty to the Empire is something that, I still have questions about it. Why is he so loyal, especially after seeing not only his brothers from Clone Force 99 defect, but also now we're starting to see a little bit more doubt creep in, but after seeing Cody defect as well, you have to imagine that the questions in his head are starting to spin, and now even more so with the interactions that have been going on with Admiral Rampart, because Admiral Rampart could give two shits less about these clones, and now I think Crosshair's starting to see that a little bit more. Crosshair's starting to be like, these people don't give a fuck about us. Mm-hmm. These Imperial types, they don't give two shits about the clones at all. So maybe we will see, or maybe he dies before he can defect, or maybe he defects and then he gets killed. But I assume that season 2 may be the last time we see Crosshair.
Oh, there's a big prediction.
It's a big prediction for me, so we'll see what happens.
All right, moving on.
Next up, Mancell472 says, I don't think there was a bad part of this episode. Maybe the fact that Crosshair is still obeying orders like a good soldier while seemingly having doubts about the Empire.
He's thinking just like you, Nick.
Yeah, on the same track. And then he says, the best part is that the clones are questioning the Empire, realizing they're on the wrong side. Now their chips seem to be losing power of control, freeing their minds once more, and seeing what horrors they have been doing for the Empire. Some escaping to maybe fight against the Empire or just to free themselves. I hope Cody has a redemption arc, joining back up with Rex and maybe Obi-Wan.
This is a learned fan right here, Mancell472.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that was a part of the old EU, the old expanded universe, is that a lot of these clones did do exactly what Mancell says. They escaped the Empire and they didn't go to fight against them. They just lived their life. They just went out and they just had their own lives from there, and they didn't try to insert themselves back into battle. They didn't try to become machines of war for the other side. They were just look, I was born and bred for battle, and now I have the ability to just kind of live my life out. And one of the storylines that was really interesting was specifically around clones figuring out how to overcome or how to override the accelerated aging.
Okay.
They had clones out there who were
scientist clones.
Yeah, who one obviously knew about their accelerated aging process, but two, they were out there and some had figured out how to override it, whether it be from medical procedures or something else. So I'm very curious to see what Star Wars and Lucasfilm does now with the remaining clones, with the clones who are able to pull themselves out. Are they going to give them that reprieve of, you no longer have to worry about accelerated aging? So very cool stuff there. And then the final question or the final response to the question of the week this week is from Clone War 501st. He said, love this episode. Crosshair is quickly becoming one of my favorite Star Wars bad guys. I don't think he has a problem obeying these orders no matter what his chip is telling him. So he's He's looking at Crosshair as more of like a true villain.
No, I mean, there's a part of me, I'm there as well. Like, even before he went crazy, he was always on edge. He was always angry. He didn't like the regs. He really didn't even like the other Clone Force 99 people. And I do. I'm not saying he's using the chip as cover, because it clearly affected him, especially when they amped it up. But I do think by nature, Crosshair enjoys being a warrior and not having to think about anything other than following whatever order he's given. Like, he's very robotic like that. All about it. Like, he truly just is always going to tell himself, we're soldiers, we're soldiers, we're soldiers. Like, he will not allow himself, like the other clones have, to feel like more than just a machination of war. Like, Crosshair truly is like, nope, I was born to kill, and that's all I'm going to do.
Yeah. And I mean, he doesn't seem like he has the true desire to stop doing it. No. Like, he does have questions, but he's like, I think the big question in Crosshair's mind is like, if I'm not doing this, then what am I doing?
That's what I mean. Like, is it even worth being alive if I'm not following orders? Essentially, is his operating procedures, or whatever.
Modus operandi.
That's what I was trying to do, but I'm stupid, so thank you. Okay, well, there you go. Thank you, everyone. Question of the week. I'm still not sure why this is one of our more actively watched live streams. Hopefully, keep it up. We got eyes on here. Maybe, let's do a little dance. You want me to show some nipple? I can do that. You want me to put a little hairy teat out there? But hey, welcome to all the new eyes here. Hopefully you stick around. We do it every Tuesday for the most part, 2:30 p. East at Star Wars Time Show on YouTube. All right, man, let's go ahead and switch on over to the final entry in our fan segment, and that is the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week.
That's right.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, go.
Yeah. Get involved with this. Use hashtag Star Wars Time Show on your posts. Make sure to tag at Star Wars Time Show, tag. And then also give us an at Star Wars Time Show on there as well. And then Matt will see those. He will pick his favorites throughout the week. And then I come through on the Monday before our show, and I pick the top 5 that Matt has shown on our feed. So,
and you pick two that is like, he's got to pick these.
So Matt does that sometimes. He'll like pick some. He's like, I know that Nick is going to pick this one.
Well, you've surprised me before, but like these two, I was like, man, these are just such finely crafted toy images that he's not going to be able to pass them.
I will say, in the first one up, I feel like maybe one of them. This is from Jason B. Michael.
Yes, the monolith.
And the thing is like I've never even seen Space Odyssey. I've never even seen 2001: A Space Odyssey. So like I missed the reference, but like you said, it's such a finely crafted piece of Star Wars toy photography that you can't not choose it as a top 5. So what we see here.
So I'm guessing since you've never seen this movie, you've never eaten mushrooms or dropped acid then either, right?
So no to both of those.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. That's pretty much the only reason you watch this movie is the first time you trip, you have to throw this on. It's like a rite of passage.
Oh, man. Gotcha. But so what we see here are Jawas on Tatooine, and they are standing around what I assume is the obelisk from 2001: A Space Odyssey, and they're just like pray. Like one of them is like throwing up their hands and praising it. They're all pointing and touching. Ooh, ah.
It's like, so if you go watch the movie now, Nick, you'll have reference because there is this shot, but it's with chimps, and when this monolith shows up, it like fucks up their society essentially, and I don't know what the fuck that movie means because I've never watched it not fucked up. But from what I've taken it's essentially like the monolith and what the apes do. It's like as like new inventions or new the unknown shows up, like just organisms go nuts and usually just want to kill themselves and they can't help themselves. It's like when something new shows up, humans, animals, monkeys, doesn't matter. They're going to end up destroying themselves over it, essentially, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So it doesn't, but then again, I probably need to have, like you said, I probably need to have like some context from the movie because this monolith probably has some sort of like extraterrestrial pull.
It's
or
like
something
this.
like
It's
that.
one of the most engaging movies I've ever watched, but I can't tell you what I saw because I was not of my mind. I was on fungus, and I really thought that I was getting something from it. It made sense. I think me and my cousin, we just sat there and stared at it for 3 hours and said no words to each other. Maybe laughed here or there. I feel like I got something out of it, but I couldn't fucking tell you one thing about this movie that makes any coherent sense. So to me, to me, it was about apes or chimps killing each other because a big black thing shows up in the desert. That's kind of what I got out of it.
Maybe that's what's going to happen to these Jawas too. So, at Jason B. Michael, make sure to give him a follow. He's one of our favorites here at the Star Wars Time Show and always puts out incredible work like what we see here. I mean, just scroll through the feed. You can see all the amazing stuff that he's got going on over there. All-star for sure. Next up in the top 5 is at Toy Photography Bro. And what we have here is like and like the way that I looked at this is like you've seen stuff like this before in like war movies like Full Metal Jacket or something like that, where you have like soldiers posing on the battlefield after like a battle has been finished or after like a skirmish is over. And that's what we see here. So we see a clone trooper here sitting on a branch, got his almost seems like a sniper rifle in his hand, and he's just kind of like posing after what like seems to be like a hard-fought battle.
It is like a cute little, hey, we just murdered a bunch of these rebels. Take a shot, pal. Like this. Like, hey, cheese! We just murdered these women and children. Let's take a picture. Cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. This image just, it captured me. It's like you couldn't scroll past it. And it is. It's very simple. It's just it's like one of those jet trooper, he looks like, at least the armor he's got on. As Nick said, he's just holding a long rifle, sitting on a log, just kind of staring right into the camera. And I guess, Nick, you could also argue that on the other side of the lens is this trooper's boyfriend or girlfriend, and they're kind of remaking the scene for Titanic when Jack has Rose pose nude so he could paint a picture. Because I mean, I kind of get like, don't you get a little sauciness from this trooper? Like, it's like, hey boys, like, check this shit out. Like, who wants some of this trooper ass? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's like a boudoir photo shoot that we only got one image from.
That's what I mean. I don't know. I love the shot, and it's just like as we just showed you, you can make up whatever story you want. But it's just, there's something captivating about this shot. I love it's got great crispy focus, I think, is one thing. The troopers weathered well, but it catches your eye for some reason.
Yeah, it does. No, it's definitely like an eye-catching and stopping type of image. So, good stuff there at Toy Photography
Bro.
Next up, new account here. This is at sir.dork. For those of you who don't know about this
There's
guy,
a noob on the scene. We got a noob.
Yeah, a newbie on the scene at sir.dork. Only 2,000 followers on Instagram, guys. So let's pump those numbers up if you like what we're seeing here. And what this at sir.dork has done for us, gave us an awesome shot of our Bad Batch bros. So we see, unfortunately, this had to be prior to Crosshair's defection from the group. When he was
still friends with everybody.
Yeah, this is when he's still friends. So what you see is Crosshair carrying Hunter on his shoulders, and they're all just kind of shooting off. There's some explosions happening in the background. You see some.
They look like they're in the Middle East, and they're just shooting their AK-47s up into the sky, celebrating something.
This is almost like a post battle celebration, because you could see that there are some dead people down on the ground after a battle has gone down, presumably.
Yeah, and they're like,
yeah, they're just shooting off guns and fireworks after everything goes down.
Nick, I'm starting to think they might have tapped into some spotchka too, because they look. Crosshair would definitely have to be drunk to get into this, to let Hunter jump on his back. So yeah,
He was.
I'm thinking they had a few tugs on the spotchka bottle before pulling this off here.
No, yeah, I agree, because I do think that Crosshair is not definitely not the one for a
come on, Hunter, get on my shoulders, let's go, woohoo, yeah, Clone Force 99, yeah, I mean that's what it looks like. But yeah, hey, in all seriousness, this is the dude, Sir Dork Reborn. I've been featuring him every day he tags us, and I'll keep doing that every single day to give him whatever little help our tiny account can give. But he has been out there for the past week or two, poor guy, reissuing essentially his back catalog. So give him a look, Sir.Dork. I'm telling you, you will be amazed every week with what this dude puts out with his toys. Not just Star Wars. We're talking, DC, Marvel. He does it all. But some cocksucker, some commie took his account, got it shut down. Now he's got to start from scratch. So we're here for him. We're speaking his name at Sir.Dork.
Make sure to go give him a follow. Pump those numbers back up. Get Jared back to the 75K that he was at prior. Good stuff. Next up in the top 5 is at Mr. MUPPA06, Mr. Muppa 06, and it's a fantastic shot here. We got of Rex hanging around with the boys. Looks like they're working their way through some sort of township, and they just blasted some B1s. You can see a B1 down in the foreground of this picture, and it still seems like the smoke is settling from this last battle to go off. But yeah, it seems like Rex and the gang are making their way through some sort of town, clearing it out of all the Separatist droids sometime during the Clone Wars. I love the use of atmosphere in this shot. I also love the use of I don't know what this structure is that's right to the right of the frame, but this looks incredibly well weathered, fits along with the scene in total, and then the added depth of having some of the troopers there in the background behind the smoke also adds a great level of
honestly,
depth and
dude,
complexity to the
these
shot.
people that have talent in this hobby, it's probably styrofoam that had some spackling put over it and then weathered to make it look like Star Wars buildings. I'm guessing, but yeah, I'm with you. I like the natural look of this shot. Everything appears to be in camera. That's kind of my thing. Fuck Photoshop. Although you can do some great stuff with it if you really know what you're doing. But if you're a lazy asshole that doesn't feel like figuring out overly complicated software that doesn't need to be, doing stuff in camera is titties. And let's be real. Yeah. I mean, Rex, probably the most iconic looking clone with that helmet and the paint he had on his helmet. I know the arcs stand out a little bit more because they retain their fin, but there's just something about Rex's helmet that stood out. He maintained that some of the Phase 1 look with some of the Phase 2. He's just that's our boy, the blonde bomber, as we like to call him here at the SWTS. So good natural setup there at Mr. Muppa 06.
Correct. Mr. Muppa 06. Make sure to give them a follow. And finally, in the top 5, this may be the second shot.
I was like, sometimes Nick misses these works of art that this guy puts out, but this one you got. So
I always see the Black Series shots. I always see the Zay shots.
This one was hard to pass, right? I mean, it's
hard to pass up on.
It's fucking amazing.
It's such an iconic image from the sequel trilogy
that never got paid off on either. That's the best part.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is we see this in the first movie in TFA in Rey's memories or whatever it was.
It was great. I mean, at least from my perspective, dude, when she had the vision, I was like, oh yeah, there's our lore. We're gonna explore this lore in 8 and 9, baby. Here we go. They're doing it right this time. They're doing it right.
Yeah,
and then the Knights of Ren didn't show up again until the 9th movie, and they were used for 2 seconds to stand on a plateau in Jordan. That's it.
It seemed like I don't know why they weren't needed in TLJ, but they were completely left out of TLJ. Anyway, so this is what we see. We see the fully assembled Knights of Ren. I would call this a scene recreation from the flashbacks
100%.
or the visions that Ray was having from TFA. And Zay at BLK SRS on Instagram, Black Series, fucking nails it down to the rain, the topography and the setting of
it's
where
like he was with JJ back in 2014 or whatever, and just found this shot in his camera roll.
Just beautiful, nailed the poses and everything, and did such a fantastic job with the post effects on Kylo's lightsaber. I mean, this makes me want a whole series that focuses on Kylo and the Knights of Ren and gives us more insight into what these guys were doing
what was this about? Why were they on this rainy, muddy planet? And why would Rey be involved? Why was she yelling no? Like, why? Why did we lose all this stuff? When I just did my rewatch and I watched TFA again, I was like, I turned to Heather and I'm like, that is a fucking great movie that had so much potential for the trilogy, and then poof,
indeed.
It just fucking poofed. And this was it, man. That her dream and running through Bespin and hearing Kenobi and hearing Luke and this. It's like, oh my God, there's so much. Look at this lore. Look at the tie-ins. Oh my God, that's Kenobi's voice. What does that mean? And then I'm Rey Palpatine. I mean, that's how it ends for me, at least. Fuck. Damn you, Black Series, for reminding me of how much potential the sequels had. Because of TFA. I don't care if TFA was a New Hope reskin. Who gives a shit? It had potential. Things were set up. Fuck.
It was.
But you know what's crazy, dude? You know what these toys are? These are like the pre-posed little shits you buy in the Disney store and like the big packs. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Well, I mean, Zay made them look about as good as anybody can make them look.
These are like little. You can't pose. I mean, they're pre-posed. They're just solid pieces of plastic, and he did it. I mean, it looks literally from a cell from the film that they used to shoot this shot.
100%. So at BLK SRS on Instagram, make sure to give him a follow if you're not already. I mean, he's one of the all-stars of the toy photography world. So make sure that you are doing your duty and following him on the Instagram. But that is it. That's all for the top 5. And that's all for the Star Wars Time show for this week. So
that's
Matt,
right. You can hear it. My HVAC just kicked on, which means we got to stop because it's just going to be very loud on the recording, and I can't handle that. But real quick, before I do my goodbye dance, we were contacted by, I'm assuming someone on Nick Gallard's team, about, he started a YouTube channel called Gallard Stunts. He was uploading a lot of his footage from the prequels, a lot of his BTS stuff. I'm sure you all have seen the footage pop up on other people's TikToks, and where you got the real battle between Sidious and the Jedi Masters in his office, the one he talked about on our show. But anyways, one of his reps reached out and they're like, hey, I don't know if you guys can help us, but there's this channel, Star Wars Analyst. Okay, so that's the YouTube channel. But apparently this Star Wars Analyst has been lifting all of Nick Gallard's content from his YouTube channel and using it on Star Wars Analyst uncredited and just doing the old fair use stuff, which is why he's allowed to get away with it. But they just kind of, they pointed out to us, like, listen, this Star Wars Analyst is also using your content without permission. And I was like, well, fuck, this guy must be a real scumbag if they're using our shitty content, because no one, not even our own fans, use our own content. So sure enough, I went out and looked, and within one of this guy's videos using all of Nick's footage, he brings in our fucking interview, blurs out Nick, blurs out me, blurs out any Star Wars Time Show branding, and has Gallard speaking to the Mace Windu versus Sidious battle when I got Gallard to say once and for all who would have won, and he said, dude, Palpatine would have fucking mopped the floor with him if he wanted to. So this Star Wars Analyst, not sure if any of you are fans or subscribers, but you may want to reconsider your fandom because the person seems a little shady. You know, in the end, fair use is fair use. He is adding his own commentary, so YouTube is never going to do anything. But it would just be the right thing for this person to do would be to give Nick credit, to give us credit in the description, in the video itself. So if you're out there, you're a fan, or if you just have a YouTube account and you want to go check out Star Wars Analyst and let them know you don't appreciate stealing content, Nick and his team would appreciate it. I'm going to drop a link here in our chat that goes to one of Star Wars Analyst's videos using Nick's content and our content. And as you can see, there are no attributions anywhere. And the channel is doing well on Nick's content. They got like 75,000 subs. Videos are doing like 20, 30,000 views. So I'll drop it right here in the live stream chat for anyone that gives a shit. Now, we're not telling anyone to go out and you know, make false claims and reports, but use your judgment in those channels you frequent. You know, if they're stealing shit, no credit, that's an instant fuck off in my book, at least. So I told them I would help get the word out. So if there's anything you can do, you know to do, or just let that other channel be like, hey, just credit Nick. I don't give a shit about our video. I mean, who in the end, who gives a fuck? I mean, I don't even know how the channel found our video to use in his own. That's fucking a miracle in and of itself. But there you go. Star Wars Analyst, you may want to stay away. A known bootlegger of Nick Gallard's material. And it just sounds like they're not relinquishing. They're like, fuck you. It's our content. We're going to do what we want. All right. So on that down note, let's go ahead and put this episode to bed, my friend. As Nick said, the show is done, but it's not over. We're always here. We're always with you in the Force. We have a Discord. If you want to join, hit us up. Instagram. We got our free invite link. Other podcasts would charge, not us. But more importantly, if you are new, we did have a few new people today. It's one of our larger audiences during the live. Make sure to head on over to StarWarsTime.net. All right, StarWarsTime.net. That's our home on the internet. But for you, it's an easy way to get subbed into our podcast platforms. You know, we're out there on the iTunes, on the Spotify's, the Sirius XM, Stitcher, Pandora's, you name it. We are everywhere. We just need you to sub up. But more importantly, sub's nothing. That's easy. That's just a click. If you can rate or review the show on podcast platforms, that's where we really need your help. That's the best way you can show your love for the show, your loyalty, whatever you want to call it. Leave ratings and reviews. We got to juice those algorithms. All right. The AI controls our fate, but you can influence it. Same thing on the YouTube. If you're watching right now, you haven't done it yet, make sure to give us a thumbs up on today's live stream. Leave a comment, share, do clips. We'd love for you to start clipping our content and sharing it. Just give us credit, unlike Star Wars Analysts. You know the drill, right, my friends? All right, people, it's been real. Hopefully we can kind of ride this wave throughout the opening quarter of this new Star Wars year, because it was cool to have, you know, upwards of 30 people at once. 180 views so far. There's a lot of good speculation going on in the chat, and that makes me happy. And I can see Nick, he's even smiling, so he's happy too. His face is getting a little red, so that means he's been drinking already today. But we have to celebrate.
To come in.
we have to celebrate something. So, all right, people, StarWarsTime.net, because there's always time for Star Wars time. And don't forget, make sure to tell the new people, if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, the Force will be with you always.